Ready, boys? And
6 million ways to die.
what's up, motherfucker? We are live. Sorry to make you wait. Demonetized straight away. I don't want to stop that tune, bro.
You're gonna play a little bit of that and then stop it? Oh, I wanted to hear more of that, man.
It wouldn't work. I played it way too. I know, bro. I know. The stupid copyright rules, man. I would love to keep that. People, thank you patiently for waiting. It was Asa's fault. And on that note, hi everyone. Welcome to Go Live. It's my fault. It's always my fault. Let's be real. I time these coffee breaks. I have to have the coffee right before the start of the show to have the energy for the 3 hours, but that means my bowels work overtime and I have to time it sometimes, and I don't wipe front to back. What the hell? But I saw that in the chat. I use a bidet. Shout out on the note of bidet, everyone. People smash that like button. We are going to get saucy as always. We have incredible guests. You are incredible, lovely viewers. And Asa. Oh, Asa, you look stressed. You look tired. You look both. I don't know. Why are you so red-faced? Have you been drinking?
Yes, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Thank you so much. Yeah. Fuck you. My body is broken and my mind is dull, and it's going to get progressively worse as the show gets on. So hit the big topics at the start because my brain will be dribbling out my ear by the end.
Don't worry, you'll hit my levels at the end then, and we can have a actual level-to-level chat. Oh, man. I know you were stuck in traffic and you had a long day, but we'll keep it saucy. Actually, luckily for you, the big topics... Actually, no, that's a lie. It's actually in the start and the line. It'll be fun. Everyone, listen. Asa, don't feel sorry for him. No tears here. We can have a great show. We have these lovely gents joining us on this special occasion, which is the release of greatness. One day we'll say that for an Xbox exclusive. Gents, it is in no particular order. K. Asante. Yeah. No, that's not what I wanted to play, but okay. That's the wrong one. I'm gonna clear that. Sorry.
You have a lot of those things like ready to go, don't you? Like
yeah, I do.
Well cut pieces too. Thank you for the invite, by the way. It's great to be here.
Shout out to you, man, and shout out to everyone in the chat who had listened to. What's the song? Come on. Everywhere I go, all I ever seem to hear is bang, bang. And speaking of banging people, it is the master, Huggy Channy. Shout out to you. There it is. That's the right button.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't even know what to do with that one,
I don't know what's happening with this show.
Yeah, well, we have some fun topics, especially Tears of the Kingdom. I've been playing that, both PC emulated and, of course, on Switch. And yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was actually going to go into that bit, but you might as well lead it. What have you been playing?
I've been playing that useless game that everybody hated called Redfall, which actually isn't all that bad. But I've been playing it on the PC, just to be clear. So I know I've heard it's really bad on it's okay on PC. It's really bad on console, but either way. So I've been playing it. So it's okay. So that's kind of where I put it. It kind of lacks that sort of arcane magic, at least from what I've seen from arcane games. It just doesn't seem that like it feels hollow. I don't know. There's something about it that just doesn't like work. But it's okay. Like the game loop up to now, I've only played like 4 hours, 3 hours, something like that. It's okay. And that's kind of where I'd put it. I'll probably finish it, just like run through the campaign. So I finished that. I finished Ravenlock. It was a short little game, and yeah, that was fun. It's a nice little adventure game, a little bit of combat, but very simple. but more fetch questy, and it's just like 4 or 5 hour game. It's pretty small. It was fun. Certainly, Tears of the Kingdom. I've been playing that. Since I got my PC, I'm actually going to go play Hogwarts there, and I have Cyberpunk to kick off now that they have that path tracing. And I was waiting for like the next gen patches for Cyberpunk, and then just never got to it. And I don't know if there was going to be another one or not. But with the path tracing thing, I think I'm at the point where Cyberpunk is probably as good as it's going to get, right?
Yeah.
And there's DLC coming June something. I don't know, whatever.
Next month,
yeah. Yeah, so I'll wait for that, obviously, and then I'll play it.
DLC. FTW.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So yeah,
just save the game.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I've been, as far as gaming. But yeah, Tears of the Kingdom, and then Redfall.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Very contrasting games in terms of quality.
Yeah. I mean, again, I play whatever, right? I'll play all sorts of games, whatever. But yeah, so I'm trying it. What the heck?
Yeah, you got killer PC. You got 4090 now as well, beast mode, and you got path tracing. Man,
with the AMD 7800 X3D
4090 club.
All three of you
for you, sir.
have a 4090. I'm the peasant with the 2070. That's fine.
Yeah,
I'm on it's Alex level.
I was wondering if I should wait for the upcoming AMD, right, higher end graphics cards that are coming. So supposedly they're going to be even more power than a 4090, but I don't know if they have the software. That's kind of the thing, right? There's DLSS 3, all this path tracing stuff, and that's really, and I'm not sure how well it'll work on the other ones, because as we noted, like the NVIDIA, and I think you were saying this, Asante, like the NVIDIA 3D, the ray tracing is a step ahead of where AMD is. Yeah. Even if you look at the console and what the capabilities are, and then the AMD graphics cards, that may be a software thing. It may have the capabilities, but they're just not there yet. So I'm like, fine, I'll just stick to the NVIDIA side for now. Yep. But yeah, if they can come up and really wow me, that might be the next one, right? But that's probably a year or 2, 3 years down the right road. So
I think they need it. We're listening to Acer talk about that a while ago. There's some competition needed on the graphics card.
It definitely is, and I'm not sure it's going to come from AMD. Keep more of an eye on Intel, I would say. But
I know that Intel Arc out of nowhere, like, wow, that's not bad. Right?
Yeah.
What? Sorry, I don't even know about the Intel Arc.
Yeah, they just decided to go into GPUs, and
I was going to say
it's not terrible. It's decent. I don't think it's as high as the AMD's. It's NVIDIA 4090,
it is the lowest,
but it's getting there.
But still, it's promising. It's very promising for a first outing. Absolutely, they've hit heights that AMD took a long time to hit, and they hit that first try. So.
What do you mean?
I like that though.
Out or what's going on?
Oh yeah, there are benchmarks out. There are systems. They're basically very entry level, entry to early mid level GPUs. They're not trying to compete with the big dogs, but they hit benchmarks that seem to be easily hit by them. That even though back in the day AMD was really trying to get a foothold, they are easily able to hit them. And of course, with today's pricing, they are super cheap. So they're like establishing themselves at that level. But yes, to your point, if you want NVIDIA to really have competition, Intel's out there. They're interesting. Right? We'll see how far they go. Yeah,
so it's all good stuff, right?
But
there's the flip side of this, but
what's the flip? What is the flip side before Luis says?
The flip side of this is it's all on PC. as much as that's cool. The way I'm doing this, I wanted to have a console experience, so I put it under my TV, right? And this is where the ROG Ally discussion is going to get very interesting. I'm finding it very disappointing that having Xbox, the entire UI of Xbox, you still have this pathetically disgusting total Windows, the keyboard mouse Windows interface. It just will not go past that. Okay. It just will not go past that. So, and they own the freaking ability to do it. They have it on Xbox. They could easily port it over, but they don't. It is.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Hargy, I know you play with Play Night a lot. I may have other front ends that might be able to help you
a bit better, but it's like it's all the back end stuff. So let's say you kick off Yuzu. Eventually I have to go to keyboard
pop up. It has to,
and then it's like
they're speaking Chinese to me right now. I have no idea.
Yuzu's an emulator for Switch.
Quickly, we're still on the what games we were playing section, but we were kind of deviated from it, which is fine. I want to know, Asa, on this point on the Intel cards, you said keep an eye on it. Like previously, you were touting the competition in the high-end tech space. What can Intel offer other than what sounds like good medium to budget range cards?
Well, I don't want to talk too much on the PC hardware space because I know it's like quite niche within our audience. But at the moment, for the last probably decade now, Nvidia have had the high end on lock, and their prices have shown what happens when you don't have good competition. AMD, for all their trying, have not managed to really make a dent in what Nvidia are doing, so they've not been able to force those prices down, all the rest of it. What Intel have done so far is they've made like baby steps. They're starting low, they're starting small, and they're not targeting the high end at the moment, but their low to mid-range cards are balanced a lot more closely to the kind of Nvidia model in terms of the fact that they can actually do ray tracing, and they do actually have decent upscaling models in the works. And you just get the sense that when their drivers have matured and they're confident and they feel they're ready to go for it, they can be a serious contender in the high-end space as well. So.
Yep.
That's good. More competition is great. We need that, especially in the console space. Damn it! But more than.
Can you imagine a console maker going, "We're choosing Intel"? Wow, that was.
Can you imagine like the high-end consoles in general? Just if either one of them wasn't AMD, like. Then the comparisons would suddenly be like more worthwhile.
Yeah. Then it'd be actually a worthwhile competition. Absolutely, because they're both AMD, SoCs. So what does it really matter? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Hopefully that might change next gen. We might see a battle of Nvidia / Xbox or PlayStation, whoever they.
About that, you saying that, Asa, has blown my mind. Imagine a world where I don't know, Xbox changes, instead of going AMD, they go, you know what? We're backing we're backing a new horse. This console will be based on Intel Arc. Wow, that'd be amazing. What?
That'd be amazing. But Xbox will mess it up somehow. We'll talk about it. Don't worry, it's not going to be a doom and gloom podcast. I know how sensitive you guys get, yeah? But before we do that, okay, Asante, talk to us, bro. What have you been playing?
I am one of those TM grazers, so I'm always playing a bunch of different things. On the old Steam Deck, I refuse to stop playing Midnight Suns. I sip that game like a fine wine on the old Steam Deck. I enjoy it there. It's good, so I've been playing that from time to time. I too have been dipping in and out of Tears of the Kingdom. I think I'm about 5 hours now into Tears of the Kingdom. I have played it on the Abacus, known as Nintendo Switch. I have played it on the 3080, and I got, I think, like 25, 30 frames per second. And I've played it on the 4090 liquid cooled beast, and I get I think I get almost 140 frames per second or something.
Oh wow!
It's just ridiculous. Yes, but I have to say, I really, really enjoy the game so far. I've been reading a lot of the,
we'll get into the game because that's the big chunky topic. Hold that.
Yeah. I enjoyed the discourse, so we'll talk about that whole thing. I too have also been playing the horrible game that no one should be liking called Redfall. I've also been playing that. I don't know if I'll finish it because before the repetitiveness wasn't showing itself. It's starting to show itself to me now a bit, and obviously we are now putting our face to the funnel that is the gaming season. So it's just coming at us at this point. So I might drop that. And the other game I've been playing is Jedi Survivor, which is very, very, very buggy on PC, but also is so good that you just kind of forgive it for it anyway and keep playing. Because it's very good, and then it crashes, and then you have to reset it, and then it crashes, and then you have to.
Absolutely. And not
to mention all the I reran Cyberpunk because in path tracing mode, because why not with your 4090? You know what I'm saying? I've been replaying a bunch of awesome VR games because the 4090 now makes it all feel trivial. All that stuff. A lot of games to be played. That kind of stuff.
No, fair enough.
The ROG Ally. So yeah.
Which you will talk about later as well. Asa, have you been playing anything? You look stressed. I know you've been playing stuff.
Redfall 24/7. That's why the show ran late today. I was on Redfall still, looking at the giant hands and doing the Redfall things that you can do on Redfall. That's what I've been playing. Obviously, I'm going through Cyberpunk. The path tracing mode on Cyberpunk is beautiful and interesting. I have to say, if you're not massive tech nerd who really wants to pick out the way this thing is working and understand it, then it's still Cyberpunk and you're playing the same game. So it's not for everyone, and I'm not trying to justify people going out and playing 4090s for this experience, but if you are like looking at rendering technologies and how they're progressing and what the future is, it's such a fascinating case study, as well as being actually a good game now. So a lot of Cyberpunk, a little bit of the PlayStation VR 2. I've been on, I have actually been playing Redfall for real, not 24/7, but I've put like 2 or 3 hours into it. Yeah, games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, after 2-3 hours on Redfall, what's your view? Do you think the criticism is justified?
I am too early to have got to the point where it really falls apart. I've only played it in co-op, where you can extract some fun from it in co-op. I think I said last week that I had sympathy for the people that went and saw that vertical slice and didn't tear it to pieces when they returned. I'm still at that phase. I think a lot of the criticism is extreme. I do anticipate that if like the more I play it, the more I'll start to recognize the repetition in the loop and things like that. So there are definitely areas where it's falling short, particularly like all of the text and stuff that you can read, all of the lore that it tries to deliver for the people that want to delve into it and really get to understand the game. It's badly written tripe. And that's like, you can get the sense from
dialogue,
that.
Though, right? I mean, I'm finding some of the banter is like, why did you even say that? It's so stupid. Some of it's good. But some of it, you're like, what? Did you really just say that? And then the PowerPoint. I mean, I know they got bought by Microsoft. Did they really have to make the cutscenes PowerPoint? Honestly. Really? Really? You have to make the PowerPoint? Like, seriously? That just screams like AAA or indie. I'm like, what is this? Like, what? You couldn't freaking do it from one. Even the beginning is not a freaking movie. Like, really? Like, any animated. No, it's PowerPoint. I'm like, seriously? I can't believe that. That's what really detracts from me. I'm like, what? Yeah, it's like so, it's fine. I'll get by it, but
there's no passion in that game.
It just doesn't. You know, yeah, exactly. I'm like, if you're intending to make a AAA game, like that's just table stakes. You have to at least have freaking cutscenes and PowerPoint slides. Like, really, like seriously, you might as well have the PowerPoint interface.
That's what I called it.
That question. To that statement that you made, if you're intending to make a AAA game, do you really think they were intending to make a AAA game though? Obviously the end result is that it's a AAA game by budget and all of that, but to your point, cutscenes being PowerPoints and a lot of the repetitive nature of the
yeah, there are. But already in the start 3 hours more.
Doesn't it feel like a AA game in AAA game shoes a little bit? Like
doesn't even feel AA. It feels.
This is a AA game. It's a total AA game.
It feels like it was $30 for it. It feels like a pet project by a smaller team that has been propped up on the big stage.
Wait a minute, have we moved on to Zelda without me noticing?
You piece of shit.
No, Zelda is on a different level. But anyway.
That has fed into a lot of people's discourse. A lot of people are at the Xbox camp.
I do have a question to ask though, because Asa did bring that up. So I just have to ask. I was one of the people on the fence during the time of PSVR 2 talk. You were one that jumped in. We got the first crop of games and all that. Have there been newer games that I'm not aware of, or are we still in that 90% on other platforms thing?
There's still a lot of overlap. They've done, I think Humanity just came out this month. There's bits and pieces, but the next big one that will make PlayStation VR kind of distinct from the PC VR headsets that you already know and love would be Firewall Ultra. And then everybody's still waiting for Sony to let us know what their plans are beyond that.
I literally I have like piece of cash sitting there just waiting for them to entice me to give it to them, and they haven't done it yet, and it's sitting there just waiting.
I was gonna buy it.
Yeah. Oh, it's still there. It's still there waiting for them. And sometimes I go, maybe I'll add more to it and get a next gen PC headset, but I'm like, I don't know. But it's just sitting there. It's the next gen VR budget waiting for Sony to take it from me, and they're refusing to do so because there are no games out there. So, I'm sorry.
Continue. Yeah, and I was there with you. On the show, I said, fine, I'll buy it. And then a few days later, they were saying, oh, this thing's not doing that well. And I'm like, hold on. Let me see PlayStation's seriousness. Go back to the original point. Offer me something compelling on VR. Yeah. And apart from Gran Turismo is the only thing that's really calling for me. Yes. Other little bits here and there, but that's PSVR talk.
Please continue.
Not terribly exciting. By the way, shout out to a new member, Big Diddy 08 welcome to the family. And demonetized. That's way too loud. But yeah, shout out to you. Shout out to Nintendo, the Yotaku. You've been talking about Zelda for a while, and you were on the money because you were like, thank you for the $5 super check, because Nintendo has the top 3 highest rated games of all time on Open Critic, with Tears of the Kingdom topping the list. I will be collecting Tears of the Haters in the chat. Poxy, thank you, B, for member for 19 months, bro. Because happy bidet, gas. I get it. Killer panel tonight. Smash the like button. Please do smash that like button. Biggie, thank you again for joining the membership. We hope to do you proud. So, the big game is here on the back of Redfall's failure. Here comes in another game, and we had meta predictions. I brought mine down from 96 to 95 last minute. Had I stayed the course, I would have been on the money. I was only a couple of points ahead.
I know what you did. I was there last week. You put out about 12 different scores and hoped that you could just clip one of them.
No, I didn't. That's a lie. I said, okay, I was right. I said, hey, look, God of War Ragnarok got the same score. This could get it too, but I put it down to 96. And right at the end, I said, you know what? 95. So I'm sticking with the 95. I was off by 2 points, but 1 point, because it went back down to 96. Now, this score unpacking is going to be interesting. But before we go into the meta score argument and the Nintendo bias, we're going to talk a little bit about the game itself. So I've been playing it. I streamed it the day it was released. I got it a day before, but I was tired. But I played it, and you can see my reactions. And if you thought I was happy, then later after I played it off stream, I've fallen enamored with this game. But chat, like, gents, everyone, talk to us. What are you feeling with this game? Zelda, bloody Nintendo. Either the media's paid off, or they just do what they do, which is an incredible game. I'm already seeing Blue Moon saying another DLC. Tony Okami says $70 game. We'll talk about the price point as well. But you know, Huggy, I had to get you on here as well because I know you're a Zelda fan. And despite being a very strong Xbox fan, you've always been like me. Listen, Huggy, I wish you were in the party chat with Zorka and Colt Eastwood and Fonzeret. These pieces of they've been shitting on me for liking Zelda, and I've always loved Zelda. Anyone who watches this show knows I've loved Zelda, but you do too. You played it a little bit. What are you feeling, bruh?
I mean, look, Zelda is the premier franchise in gaming. Whether you accept it or not, it does not matter, because if you look at even Metacritic, the top game of all time is Ocarina of Time. Okay, and you look at the Zelda franchise, especially mainline Zelda releases, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, they're ridiculous. And it's been, what, like 40 years, and they can't miss. They're so good. The worst ones, like for me, the one on the Wii, because I had to figure out the stupid motion controls. Once I figured that out, it actually was a really good game too, and that now is available on Switch, right? And look, I don't know how people don't like the game, but it really, to me, it just feels like you don't like the graphics, or it's maybe too accessible, and that makes it unhappy to you. I don't know. To me, it's just awesome gaming. The two franchises, Mario and Zelda, the mainline games of those are fantastic, always have been, and I have yet to meet the challenge from anybody else that beats them. And to me, that's how it is, okay? If I'm playing a platformer, I always measure it against Mario, and Mario blows it away. I have not met any game yet that has matched what Mario does. The simplicity, the ease, I can easily go where I want to. I know what to do. They just make the game perfect. That's it. They just do a damn good job making it fun. That's what they do. And then Zelda, it's the same way. It's simple, it's accessible, and yet it's so goddamn fun. They have so many systems. This ability to just take things, put them together, and totally make your own path is just incredible. You want to make it to wherever you want. It's incredible. I'm at the beginning, and I only have like 2 or 3 powers. I want to see what I can do with the rest of them, right?
Wait till you get more.
And like, yeah, there's enough here that it's going to be a long game for me, which is awesome. They took Hyrule and said, hey, we'll make one on top of Hyrule, and we'll make one below Hyrule. So you have triple the map and all this extra stuff. Good luck. It's going to take a while to finish that. But
unless you're a speedrunner doing it under an hour, like we heard. But
yeah, but. So and you could do that with Breath of the Wild if you know. You could go to the Central Tower. You could literally just go there without any upgrades or anything. Just go there and just kill Ganon. Right? Okay, fine, have fun, right? And some people did it. Why not, right? But of course you miss out on all the fun what's out there. So it's good so far. I played it both on PC and on Switch, and what I found is the frame rate actually didn't bother me as much. The resolution is a lot better. I can scale it up on the PC. But so I'm still going to play it on PC as much as I can, I guess. But it didn't. I was actually thinking the frame rate would be an issue, and it didn't feel that bad actually. So, and maybe they're just doing some fun Switch things that make it flow better. But I did increase the panning speed. There's like a normal, high, very high. So I made it very high on both PC and on Switch. Which made it flow. It was pretty good. So, so far I'm enjoying what I'm playing. And of course it's Zelda, so there's going to be a lot of exploration, a lot of upgrades, a lot of cool things you're going to find along the way. It'll be a great game. I still have to play Hogwarts. I get to play this and Hogwarts and Cyberpunk. These are all great games, and there's still Starfield to come. Right, it's going to be an awesome year for gaming. It's crazy, right? So,
it is. Yeah. We are spoiled. Like this year has been an incredible year so far. Yeah, fine. It's been a bit dry. Well, even Xbox had a Hi-Fi Rush. So it was really what's actually been good on PlayStation so far.
Well, they have Spider-Man coming, and I
think so far they've had nothing.
Forspoken. And then they have Final Fantasy 16 coming, which looks good. Final Fantasy
no, that's coming. But so far they've not had much, then have they? So next month
MLB the show, MLB the show, which I think was an 80 this time. It rated okay, right? But they always are around that part.
They have the DLC anyway, to
Horizon.
I don't count deals because then you have to go to Forza Horizon 5 Rally. Does that count? And I just like Elder Scrolls Online had this DLC, and then I come on DLCs. Sure. I'm not sure.
I mean, Burning Shores is. I haven't played it. The game is funny because Horizon Forbidden West actually. I think about that game, visually stellar, outstanding. Yeah, I can't get into it. Compared to Zelda, it feels like a soulless husk of a game. That game is so naturally beautiful, but the soul of that game, I need to play more time on it. But I had the same issue with Zero Dawn. And we'll talk about it in a bit. Let me just get your views on it. Asante, what are you thinking about this? Is it saucy?
You mean the release of Tears of the Kingdom? So I'm on record as calling. I see Dealer Gaming. So I'm on record as saying that the abacus known as the Nintendo Switch needs to be taken out back and shot. It's time for them to stop insulting us with more than past its prime hardware. My favorite saying is long in the tooth. The tooth is so long it has fallen off and grown a new tooth of itself, right? So it's time that thing is gone, right? So I got my hands on this game and I started playing it, and I too, as Mr. Hargeet Chani have been playing it on. I have two PCs now. I have my old PC that I'm repurposing, which is a 3080 base system mid-tier machine, and I too did join the old 4090 club and built a bit of a monster. So I played it on both of those, and I'm also trying to play it on the Steam Deck as well as the Abacus. So I think all in all, I have about 5 hours in. I've played that opening sequence multiple times.
Oh wow.
I played it on the Linux side. I've played it on the Windows side. I've played it, just to try and see, because I'm trying to get to see where the best place I want to play. Because this is the type of game that you'll play for many months, right?
Yeah.
And if you're in a privileged position like I am, you get to choose where you want to play it. Like I said, Midnight Suns lives on the Steam Deck because it lives there, right? So I want to know where this will live. So I've been playing it on multiple things to try to see where it lives. I will tell you.
Nipples. Sorry.
Yes. It won't live there though. But but needless to say, my first takeaway from this game is, I wish Nintendo would unshackle their developers, their geniuses, with better hardware. Right, and I said this on another show. I said this before, and the retort to that was, well, the reason why they are such geniuses is because they have to deal with the limitations that are presented to them, right? But as Hargi is talking about, with how they have what they've basically created here is a Halo style, what do you call it, sandbox, where cause and effect is taken to a very huge level, right? A little bit of that was in Breath of the Wild, but it looks like they saw, after all the YouTube videos came out and all that, they saw how the community likes to innovate and the ingenuity of your consumer base, and decided to lean into that. So you have that combined with the story that it is, and let's be honest, it's exactly the same engine, right? That's why it can still run on the Steam Deck better than it does on the Switch. Like, this is exactly the same engine, exactly the same assets. Some people may use that as a pejorative and call it DLC, right? I think, I think DLC as a pejorative language is ridiculous, because to me, when you say DLC, the first thing I think of is Blood and Wine, which is the greatest DLC ever made, which came for The Witcher 3. Everyone will tell you it's better than the
really
base
good
game.
Yeah.
Right? And that was DLC. So calling it DLC is pejorative by your definition and nothing else. Right? So you can call it what you will, but I'm about 5 hours in. I think I'm almost exactly where you are, Hargi. I've gotten 2 powers. I'm waiting to get more.
Yeah.
They basically plop you into the world in certain situations, and they go figure it out. And that's all they do. They just say figure it out. And then you play for a little while, and you realize, they've given you far more tools than they do in normal video games that feel this way. And then you start sticking things together and going, that's how I can traverse this world. They do a lot of interesting things there. And I'll just end it by saying, like, to me, that is the beginning and the end of it. I really wish that, although I agree with those who think that, the reason for their brilliance is how they limit their developers, and because of that, they're able to find, brilliance in gameplay rather than brilliance in hardware, right? If they don't have the throughput to make the games look amazing because their hardware won't give it up, then they have to spend more time in the gameplay.
Yeah, I 100% disagree.
Yeah, I think it's a wishy-washy argument. I really wish you could put these people who have honed their talents to the level that it is, to genius levels, where they're taking what is considered the technical equivalent of a grain of sand, of a morsel, and making a whole damn meal out of it. Imagine putting that to bear on a series level system or a PS5. I would love to.
Or even PC. This is the company I really wish would just embrace that.
Absolutely.
Just put this game on PC. Let me get the full fidelity, right? And like, if they can make it work on that hardware, like, every PC will be able to play this thing just fine. But then I can expand it and get the higher fidelity graphics and unlocked frame rates. I wish Nintendo would just do that. Like, of all the companies, like, their games, I would love to just be able to play them.
There is no technical holdback stopping them. It's just their own thoughts on the matter that's stopping them. Because for a long time now, many of us who aren't okay with what they say have been playing it on PC and having a grand old time doing so.
Yeah.
While people go,
let me buy it on PC.
That's right. People are going, we have to deal with the 20 frames per second. We're like, all right, well, you do that while we're playing it at 140 whatever frames per second. We will pay for it. Just let us do so on PC,
I will say that one of the immediate things that does come to mind, because this game, despite the fact that it's built on the same engine as Breath of the Wild, is doing a lot. Like, this is stretching the Switch quite considerably, because it may be the same game, call it DLC, but this game is doing things that are very impressive for that archaic engine. It's archaic tech hardware, where you are floating right from the top, that verticality and just like there's not major pop in like that. It's really bad. Like Redfall, that pop in and LOD bud was bad, but when you play this, it doesn't become so ugly that it's like, oh, this looks really janky and really just ugly to play.
They really picked a timeless art style. It accentuates.
They did.
It can last for a long time. And by the way, who wants to bet that the next Switch 2, Super Switch, pick your moniker, gets this game released on it?
A lot of people say that.
Breath of the Wild.
Oh well,
Same
you know, well, yeah.
And
hopefully that launches with the next Mario, which we're still waiting for, because that Mario game came out like 5-6 months after Zelda came out in 2017.
Yeah. In my household, it feels like it was yesterday because my kids keep playing Mario Odyssey like every.
Such a good game, right? Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
So
Shabs, thank you for being a member for 19 months, man. He goes, playing it on Raya Rinks with a 60 FPS mod plays great at 1440p. A lot of people are playing this on PC. A lot of people are and you're seeing a lot of that. Obviously, some people are not even paying for the game, hence why they're doing that.
You should pay for the game, like whatever, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Give them money, but play the game wherever you want. I don't know. That's fun.
See, and actually, Nintendo should be really applauding this because I'm telling you, if this was a $70 game that forced me to only play it on the Switch, I would not have bought it.
Yeah. No, okay. Well,
I gladly paid for it so I can dump it to my PC, then play it at the.
Well, you're the more conscientious buyer. Other buyers may not do that, but like a lot of people will just say, "I'll buy it on PC. I don't give a shit." Nintendo, look, this game is doing big numbers already. We know it's going to sell like mad. When is the last time you saw a queue of like 1,000 people? And there were loads of people. I saw Gene Park was sharing like a video footage of just a massive line of people, and it was so nice. And it was like, that is a Nintendo power. And that part of me is like, well, I personally don't care. I don't really want the PC to get Nintendo games. I know it sounds weird. Don't lambast me for it. I feel like there's a bit of magic having it appear on this fixed hardware. I do like that. And I will say, like, despite the fact for me, the aliasing is a little bit distracting. The texture work isn't that great on the Switch. But you will be, just floored in a few hours. You don't think of that. The game is still so incredibly beautiful, so good by some of its parts, from the way the grass moves, the wind is moving, and you've got large scale. So the geometry of it all is so beautiful. Like, you know that they have taken their time to devise the geology in this game. Like, they will force visual like points at you, like you'll be looking up. The points of interest are looking up. There's a lot of focus on the way they've devised this game world. And if you thought Breath of the Wild was good, this takes it to a whole different level. And that we're talking about the visual element of it, and it's still combine it with the sound cues that we know and love and associate with Zelda, taking it back with a beautiful musical score. That you've got cutscenes now, but some of the voice in the main cutscenes, they're voiced as well, which is quite interesting. Doesn't really, I mean, for the most part, it's quite good. I am just in love with it already, because what this game has done is, well, what you said, Asante, earlier, the inventiveness of players before with the various mechanics, they've embraced that, Nintendo, and they've given you more tools that they work so well. Like, the fuse is brilliant. Like, you can different elements, different attacks, whatever. But then you've got that combined with the traversal move. I forgot what it's called, where you can just teleport up places.
In the area.
Yeah. So then you're doing that. And I was testing it out today. I was like, is it like fixed points where they picked? No, it's a fluid part of the world. You can find little nooks and crannies where they wouldn't have gone to the trouble of making sure, I don't think, that you can teleport here.
I thought it was. I thought you have to have these like carved circle things or something. That's what I've seen.
The circle is the UI. So when I was in one of without offering, it's not really spoiler territory, trying to get near to Hyrule Castle. There's a bit, and it just edged at the end. You're not supposed to go up there, but there's a little.
There, yeah.
Yeah, there was a tiny
Now
little
speaking
bit.
Greek.
There was
Just some of the powers you
basically-
get. It's so good. Everybody should play this game. Okay, just
the
if you like video
puzzles are
games,
brilliant.
play the
I was
game.
struggling with
Play
the
the
basic ones. Asa was making fun of me, but the game does a very good job of making you feel stupid or making me feel stupid. But the game is just beautiful, and I've already started playing it, and I'm just finding it like I fell asleep with the Switch in the bed. I woke up and I just like and did a little bit. I was watching Jaffe play. He was struggling with the controls, so there's that. But the game is just brilliant. And if anyone thinking it's overhyped, well, let's talk about it. So the Metacritic.
I need to clarify though, because I did watch your stream. I was laughing at you for failing at the child's tutorial. It was entertaining. It took you a long time to turn that hook upside down. But you were talking about this like incredible game with these graphics and the sound and all of this stuff, and like I thought that's what you were going to stream, but you did some low budget knockoff game, right?
What do you mean?
That wasn't the game that you're talking about that I watched you stream, right? That wasn't Tears of the Kingdom.
What do you mean low budget lock-off game? Is that what you got from watching
yeah,
that?
I was watching it and I was like, oh, someone like Gaz has turned off all the textures, he's removed all the voice acting, he's crushed down the budget of this game. Like this does not compare to what I would expect from like a PlayStation or an Xbox exclusive. So he's stripped all of that away. He's gone, do I want performance mode or fidelity mode? No, thank you. I'll take neither of those.
This is why you're a robot. You're a robot.
But this is it though. Like what you were streaming, this is the game that you're loving so much. This big empty world with no textures and some grass. And
I think it's call it a disservice to call it a big empty world, especially when
I'm exaggerating because I haven't played it myself, but I was genuinely quite underwhelmed watching you play it. So I don't know. Well, that's fair enough.
It's
not for everyone.
Speaks, man.
This
I
is
love
the
it
difference,
when Asa
though.
speaks. He's got that
Right?
knife. He'll cut you. It's a beautiful thing.
So
boy.
PlayStation makes watchable
like Spider-Man,
cinematic
which
crap
is a
games.
shit game. How can you like Spider-Man and not like this? Like
Yeah,
that
but here you go, right?
gameplay
So-
in that is so
It's
bad
like-
compared to
so
a game
Asa,
like this.
Asa,
Talk about gameplay.
It's like Nintendo has a bit of that Disney magic for kids, where you can forgive it a lot of its faults that you can't forgive other games. But when you're sitting there and you're playing it, and the grasp is wasp.
But that's
There
it,
is
it's not
no.
right?
You know what I'm saying? You get this thing and you're just like, wow, I'm a kid again playing this Nintendo game that only I think Disney can replicate in some
But
people.
that's
Fonz
the point,
in the
right?
chat. Fonz loves Assassin's Creed. I will tell you right now, if anyone likes the bullshit formulaic crap soulless husk of
Those are good
Assassin's
games.
Creed Fonz
Those are
game,
good
they're
games
shit
too.
they're shit compared to Zelda. They're so shit compared to Zelda. Zelda doesn't give you this shitty
No, but look, okay,
checklist.
all right.
It may
Look,
do, but it doesn't
if you're gonna-
feel like it. It feels like a living, breathing world. And to
If
call
you're-
it
if you're gonna-
empty is such a disservice. I'm going to make a
Yeah,
video
of
on it and
course.
tell everyone.
It's not
Everyone
empty,
is shits on this game.
But look, if you're gonna compare them, right? Then look, PlayStation makes these movie games, so you can watch those, right? That's fine. Nintendo makes games. Games are not meant to be watched; they're meant to be played, and that's
Yes.
the difference. So when you're
Thank you.
watching Gaz, you're failing at the exact thing you're supposed to do with video games. You're not supposed to watch it; you're supposed to play it.
Sauce.
Okay,
Thank you.
and that is why PlayStation games are shit, because that's what they make. It's cinematic crap that you watch.
okay, let's be honest.
Oh, I hit these two buttons. Oh, and then watch some more. No. Sorry. PlayStation games are the shit, and Nintendo games are the top. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is because they give you games. They're not talking about cinematic cutscenes. They're not talking about, the graphics are so good. Who cares? Play the game. That's the difference, right? Xbox is
Huggy.
somewhere in the middle, but
love you.
PlayStation gives you movies that are pretending to be games. That's fine. Okay, and some people like that. That's great. And then Nintendo gives you games that are just games. And that's the difference.
Facts. They give you games. That is what makes Nintendo such a beast. Do you think it's a freaking coincidence that this aging abacus, as Asante calls it, can force people to form a line to play this game that had Nintendo routinely, from Animal Crossing to Pokemon games to Splatoon? It is gameplay. It is the spirit of gaming that makes Nintendo do what it does. It's not a coincidence that Nintendo kills it. And whilst the PlayStation narrative that Hoggy was,
I mean, sorry, that's how I feel. I really take PlayStation games all the way at the bottom. Halo is my top, Xbox game, but they put out games all over the place. Grounded, is that a visually stunning game? No, but it's fun. It's fun.
And thank you for mentioning Grounded. Thank you for mentioning Cole Eastwood, you piece of
Minecraft.
You were shitting on this so much. Minecraft.
How many people play that game?
Billions. Roblox. And this is the kind of game, like people are doing manned shit already. You're just playing around, gives you the tools, gives you the sandbox, and you go out and enjoy this beautiful world. But the Aces there's like, where's the bump map here, you little robot who played Spider-Man's really good because then I can see my reflections on the
Sorry, Gaz, but I've got your gameplay. I rest my case just from watching your gameplay on stream right now.
Shout out to me and Septic Sauce to subscribe and watch that shit. It's a different, Hoggy, the ponies will clip that and share it and they'll build effigies of you and set it on fire. I love you for it. Fuck them. But absolutely, there is a source to what you have said. You are not a backseat driver in Nintendo games. You are.
You are the game. That's it. You play it.
Exactly. Right. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad I brought you. I'm so glad because it could have been a full-on spit roast, and I would have to sit here and listen to all these shit on this game. Sorry.
But
I needed.
Who's shitting on this game? I haven't heard anybody shitting on this game.
What the fuck did you just hit? Aso just shit on this game. He didn't even shit. He had chronic diarrhea all over my feelings talking about this game wasn't that good. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful game. I haven't completed it. It's not a review, but it's so good.
The man started his streak by saying he hasn't played it yet. So what do you?
He hasn't played Breath of the Wild because he's waiting for a discount. Nintendo will never give you a discount.
Because
Nintendo are pricks as well. Nintendo.
Right, I've put just on stream now. I've put Gaz trying to get through the tutorial, so I'm just going to leave that there for 30 minutes. I'm going to walk away.
You're such a dick for putting this on.
The first,
listen. Fuck off. No. Oh, I hate this. Is why he has too much power. He has too much power putting this on. I struggled a bit. You know why? I said if I attach the hook there, how's it going to move forward? There's no locomotion, no fan. Okay, that's not doing me any favors. But I struggled. Okay, I struggled on this.
It does go on a long time. I'll get rid of it.
Fuck you. I got so much shit about this game. Like Fonzarelli is like, Red Dead is the best game. Red Dead, you watch the game. Red Dead is slower than Zorka's semen going through peanut butter. It is slow, but it's beautiful spectacle. But when it comes to gameplay,
man,
what?
Yeah.
Welcome to
on the controls. I will mention that we're all used to playing on different controllers, and they mix the buttons up for you. So that sometimes gets to be annoying. So I get like buttonitis. Yeah. But the cool thing with playing it on PC is I can remap those to what I like.
Yeah.
So for me, when it says
Jaffe
A, it's actually
hates the controls.
When it's X, it's actually X, right? I'm just like, because I remember when the
bought
Xbox
this today,
are, right? So but that part does get a little irritating, right? But once you get used to that part, it's fine, right? Thankfully, on the PC, I can just remap it, so it doesn't bother me much. But.
See, a lot of people are playing it that way, like you, Santi. Everyone's playing it that way. It's just an interesting thing. So you're such a piece of... Just play it, man. I have faith in you. You will understand the beauty of it. I think it's going to be wicked.
You couldn't do worse than Gas did, right?
It was so bad. I knew as I was streaming, I'm like, this is bad. This is like, what am I doing? This is the first dungeon thing. What? Oh, well, there's a lot of things to unpack there. So do you think, chat, let me do a poll. This is always where everything breaks. But I have to do a poll to ask if you think, and I'll Asante, you can lead with this one, and good luck. Do you think there's a Nintendo bias in the media, and that feeds into the Metacritic score?
I mean, I wouldn't call it a bias. I wouldn't call it a media bias, and the reason why I wouldn't call it a bias is because, like, smartly on Nintendo's part, they kind of stepped out the way a long time ago, right? Back in the day, they used to be in the trenches with all the rest of them, right? They were back and forth during the GameCube days, and I think the GameCube was probably the last real time they tried, right? And then at some point, they were like, well, we're taking our ball and we're going to play this game over here on this side of the fence, and you guys can keep doing what y'all doing, right? And ever since that time, like, they've been handled differently by the media outlets because, you know, and they have 100 years in the game versus all the others. So it's like they get the benefit of the old statesman who you know and you know always produces quality. They're off on the side just doing what Nintendo does. I mean, look at their network streaming and all of that, their network capabilities. Absolutely terrible, but you go, ha ha ha, that's just Nintendo being Nintendo. Right? Because they've just kind of earned their spot in this side of the house that they are, right? Whereas the rest of them kind of duke it out, and you know, there you can see what you can see. But I wouldn't call it bias. They benefit from what they have earned for about 100 years.
Wow. I think what you've said there flies in the face of what I expected. The vast majority of people think there is 80% of you in chat so far. About 80 votes have said there are reviews are biased in favor of Nintendo. And you know what? Despite all my romanticizing, I do think there's Nintendo bias in favor in the media.
Think that's baloney. And the reason I say that is
we are friends.
It is. I'm empirical, right? So I go and look. Right, so first-party Nintendo games have a lower aggregate meta than both PlayStation and Xbox, and there is definitely an Xbox media bias. So it's bullshit to think that there's a bias towards Nintendo because they have a lower aggregate meta. So
do they have a lower aggregate meta?
Nintendo has the way it is. Yeah, you want
Nintendo
the game?
have low
I'll tell you which ones they are. It's Super Mario 3D World. This is I've done since the Xbox Series and PS5 launched. So Super Mario 3D World 89. Miitopia 70, Game Builder Garage 77, WarioWare 76, Metroid Dread, which was a good game, 87, Mario Party
87 for Dread. Okay.
Yep. Mario Party Superstar 79, Big Brain Academy 73, Nintendo Switch Sports 71, Mario Striker 73, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 88, Splatoon 3 83, Zelda 97.
Splatoon 2.
Splatoon 3 is 83. Yep. And then Metroid Prime Remastered 94. So if you look at their stuff, it is not. So their aggregate meta is lower than their competitors. So I don't think there is. I don't think there is. There's two categories. In Metroid, and Metroid seems to be doing okay, but there's two big games. There is Mario and Zelda that just do well. They just do well, and then the perception becomes that.
Yeah, there you go. That point that Hargi just made at the end.
Okay.
I think that's the salient point here. It seems that, like, the Metacritic score is the Metacritic score, and it seems like their reviews are benefiting from what they're benefiting from, but the conversations around Nintendo always are benefited by their statesman-like perception in the market. They don't get the crap that your PlayStation or your Nintendo will get, or your Xbox will get, for obvious reasons, right? They're out of the horse race, so they benefit from just being the console that everybody goes, I love that game, versus why.
So you do think there's that positive bias?
There is a positive lean in their direction. Doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it clouds the Metacritic, because as Hargi just pointed out, if they deserve the smoke, they get it. Right? Yep. Like they have games that don't review well, even though they still enjoy that benefit. And you know, and nobody's gonna take Nintendo too seriously. They for the kids, you know.
Yeah. So that's why
you shouldn't pay attention. And by the way, there's second party games that I didn't include because I was only looking at first party. But think Pokemon, right? That was outsourced a bit, and that game was 70s meta, I think, right? That came out last year. So
I didn't even know. I thought in my head it was much higher.
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'll look it up. I'm pretty sure it's like
hardware
72, 73, something like that.
Issues left and right, so he got the smoke.
Yep,
that,
yep.
yeah.
But it sold a lot. They sold like 20 plus million copies in the first 6 weeks, right? So, but it is what it is, right? But they got the smoke they needed, right? So I don't think there is. I think it's really just those games. They generally come out very polished. Have you seen a lot of bugs with Zelda? I mean, it generally doesn't happen. They come up very polished, and the games are what they are supposed to be. Like, Breath of the Wild kind of set the stage for something like Elden Ring to come out, right? And now you have this one is going to set the stage for the next games that are going to say, hey, building upon what you have in the world to make something happen is a kind of interesting idea. Let's see if we can take that and move it forward, right?
That's
You're
a
going to see
great
people
point.
so this is going to set the stage.
The Elden Ring point is such a good point. That is such a good point. Because when I was talking party chat with Zork and Fonz and Colt, we were like, and I was trying to explain to them. They were like, Fonz is like, explain to me why it's good. Fonz, I see you in the chat and I'll read your shit. But he was like, actually, oh, there's a good point. Now, Fonz knows I'm messing, bro. But it was the Elden Ring point on the level design, the freeform gameplay, like that.
And yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the idea of like you don't know what's out there, but you can just see it, right? It's like, hey, what's over there? Let me just go there and discover. And suddenly you find a whole bunch of stuff, right? And you go down a whole path and start a whole new task or a whole new quest, and like, whoa, what just happened? Right? It just keeps taking up time, and that was the idea, right? That you fill the world, but not with map entry points everywhere that you have to go to, right? It's you go figure it out. You may never even find something. You may like only play 20% of the game. Right, but it's up to you.
Like it's your how discovery. It was supposed to be used. Organic.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point, Target.
Right, but now that's why we want these kind of games to actually be done on a higher powered system, because Elden Ring basically gives you much higher graphics, a much more tight gameplay for the actual fighting mechanics, right? And that's what's different about that versus this. If they had that kind of ability, man, what they could do, right? And those teams make such fantastic.
This is where PlayStation's going to have.
It'd be so nice to come to PC.
Okay, so the obvious question there, though, which I'll go straight back to Hargeek on it. So you take Elden Ring as the point of comparison and the reference. So Elden Ring came out like a year prior. 20 quid cheaper, $10 cheaper probably over there, and performs and looks a lot better. So as a contemporary game, if you're making a point-to-point comparison, should Breath of the Wild, or what's it called, Tears of the Kingdom, should it be penalized for not performing on a par with its contemporary games, or should it be given like this exemption because it's running on bad hardware?
I would say exemption because it's where it is, right? So if I was to say I'm going to compare an Android game to, what's a Horizon Forbidden West. Well, on Android, you can only do so much, right? So I would compare that game to what its capability is on that platform. Is it meeting the needs on that platform, right? If I looked at everything that way, then I would never give a high score to anything that doesn't look good. And I don't think that's fair, right?
See, so I understand that perspective. I do. Game? But at the same time, generally the consensus is that this is like a shoo-in for Game of the Year because it's the highest rated game on Metacritic and all the rest of it. But you're saying that, not you personally, but people with this opinion are saying that essentially it's a shoo-in for Game of the Year because we had low expectations based on the hardware rather than because it's actually better than the contemporary games.
No,
and to me,
the hardware's irrelevant.
To me,
but go ahead.
But you wouldn't accept 30 frames, 20 frames from like a different game on a different system. And if you're looking at review scores and trying to make them mean something, like what is a review score? It's quite hard to dig into because review scores and like the way that games are measured is already subjective and weird anyway. It's very, very difficult to come up with an objective measurement for scoring a game. But the value of them that I've always tried to take is that they're relative to other games, contemporary games that came out in the same year. So you can see what's better than what. What is better than what and what isn't. And that falls apart if you say, well, we're going to give it an exemption because the hardware is crap. Right?
I don't think
it's not an exemption, and you're thinking of it wrongly. It's not an exemption, right? Is the game fun, right? So here's the thing: if I start playing a game like Hogwarts, I play the game, and in the first 5 minutes, I'm hooked, right? Because the game was just good. It doesn't matter then. It could run at 30, it could run at 60, it could run at 120. I don't care. I'm having fun with the game, right? That part of it is necessary for it to be a highly rated game. The performance of it, and I look back, if I go Mass Effect on 360, did that run at 60 or 120? No. Was that a good game? Can anybody argue that was a good game? You don't have to. It is what it is, right? So forget the frame rates, it doesn't matter. It's the game itself, right? I've forgiven a lot of games for being 30, right? But that's up to the game, right? So I've played Plague Tale Requiem, for instance, that was a 30 FPS game. Now it's got a patch for 60, right? But I played it at 30. I played the game to see what the game does for me, not what the performance of the game is, right? So and that's just a difference between me, maybe, and you. Maybe you look at the tech and say, I want it to use the tech. Fair enough. But that's not what I would look for. As a person looking at a game, I want the game. I want to know what the game does for me. Does the 5-second loop, the 10-second, the minute loop, the 5-minute loop, and the hour loop, does it make sense for me? Am I hooked, right? If I play the game for 10 minutes and I've gotten everything out of it, well, okay, that's kind of cool, but that's enough. That was the end of it. If it's like, I'm hooked and I want to get to the end of it, like that's good, right? So it just
do you
depends
think, like, hypothetical, it's very difficult to answer, but do you think that if Tears of the Kingdom had released with this look and this performance on a different platform, so it was an Xbox Series X game, would it be penalized for its performance?
That's a good question.
Well, Xbox in and of itself has a whole media bias thing that we'd have to like take away, right? So let's say that did not exist, then no, I don't think so, because Grounded did well. Hi-Fi Rush is not a graphical powerhouse, right? But the thing is, you're charging this as a AAA game, right? And then when you say Xbox, because they're the ones who did this, said we are the 4K 60 box, right? It's like, okay, well, you said that, now you have to meet that bar. It's
hard to divorce that, Ace. In reality, it's really hard to divorce that. If this game was coming out on a console, even in the argument about that fact that there's a contemporary like Elden Ring and you're drawing similarities, I haven't heard this narrative before that you're suggesting that we should give it an exemption because it's on the Switch.
I question it because it's like the way that reviews and scores are formulated in general is very, very complicated. How do you compare like a one-person indie game to a AAA game made by 2,000 people? It is difficult. It is not objective at the best of times. But I do find Zelda like throws a little bit more chaos into the mix.
Which is fair enough.
Right, but yeah,
I mean, especially at the back off, and I've seen so much of this, and this narrative to me is so utterly stupid that Redfall is 30, but now you're enjoying Nintendo. Anyone who is throwing smoke at Zelda for running sub 30 or at 30 and then it's about Redfall, I'm like, first of all, you clearly don't understand the issue. It's not been marketed as a 60 game. It wasn't shown off initially like on all the gameplay trailers as a 60 game.
Exactly. It's the marketing. It's horrible job. And the game itself is just devoid of anything.
It's shit. The AI doesn't work. The game doesn't work. The freaking head of the console maker apologized for it's not working. It's a bug-ridden mess. It's an LOD mess. All those things. And you're going to hang out, but you enjoy 30. Who in this world thought Zelda was going to run at 60? We knew it was an aging hardware. So that particular point, comparing Redfall's 30 frame, I know it's slightly different from your point, but that particular point I wanted to tackle so utterly bad faith argument. Like it was, it is motivating.
There are bad faith arguments everywhere, but if you are judging games based on what was promised in the marketing and on what hardware it is running on, like that's not really a game. Like a review should be divorced from all of that. You take a game, you put it in your hands, you've got a controller in your hands, you've got your entertainment on your TV. Are you having more fun with one or the other? Like,
yeah, I agree.
That should be the question.
I agree with
that. But that's the thing. This game that's running on archaic hardware with all its stutter, with all the anti-aliasing, with all its poor texture work, still manages to transport, not you perhaps, but some players like me and Hagi into that universe, into Hyrule like that. I have not felt a game that does that. So I would actually go the other way. I'm like, what? Despite all the pitfalls and all the things going against it, it still manages to do that. And then you have to question how, and I'm constantly thinking, what is it that these guys do with this game? It's not me just sitting there sucking off, I don't know, whoever made this at Nintendo and like, I'm a Nintendo. I don't give a shit about, most Nintendo games, like, fine, like, but it's Zelda I care about, but it's like, it's nostalgia. It's not that when I'm working on a video on it, like you come out, go into a cave, come out, had this incredible encounter with these weird like creatures in the world. I had to fuse weapons, throw a bomb that the worm would swallow it. I'm like, oh shit, I did that by mistake. Fused out of the world.
Broadly, then,
and I'm in this open world where there's grass is flowing. There's a city in front of me. I'm like, what? Did I just
broadly then? So, Gaz, for you then, are you expecting that if Starfield comes out and it's 30 frames per second, you'll have that same stance? So like, that's fine, or?
Did I not say on this very show a few months ago, and I got shat on for saying it, for one game, this is a bad L for this Xbox, because on the power narrative, it is a fat L for Xbox, because they led with the power narrative. For Starfield and the frame rate, it looked bad. But on this very show, you go back, I said, doesn't matter, because the scope of the game and what they're trying to do with systems upon systems, if that is good, I will forgive it. And I've said that so many times, because that is what the game is about.
And so I tend to agree that it should be irrelevant what the performance is. You should just rate it on what it is. Flight Simulator, for instance, is also 30 frames per second. And the fact that they even got it on console is incredible, right? And so you forgive it. It's like, okay, you managed to do this. I can actually literally see the entire planet, and I'm actually flying on Earth. Right? That's just crazy, right? So cool, it's 30. I get it. You're doing too much. You just can't handle it. Fine. I'm with you on Starfield. Again, I don't care if the game is 30, and I don't care if Redfall was 30, except for the L. It is an L as far as the power narrative. But the game itself should just be rated on what the game is. Unfortunately, Redfall just isn't there. Look, you have an expectation from Arcane that you're going to have this kind of storytelling. It's just not there. Like, I have played all their games. It's just not the same. And you're like, what is this? It's just not at that par, that I expected from them, right? And if suddenly, Bethesda Game Studios gives me a Starfield that has like PowerPoint slides and, no narrative, and there's no dialogue choices, and the RPG elements aren't there, I'm going to call it out as crap. Like, what? I'm expecting a Fallout. I'm expecting a Skyrim. Where's the game? Like, what did you do, right?
Exactly.
So, again, if it's 30, and I fully expect it to be 30, because
we're all just capped at 30, by the way, on Xbox Series X. I've said it.
Resigned to that. So if they prove me wrong and it's 60, I'll be so happy. But
same. Put your expectations low with Xbox. Maybe you'll be okay.
So I rate the game for what it is, right? It's a Bethesda Game Studios game. It's not going to be the most visually appealing, perfect thing, but it's going to have all these systems that make an awesome RPG and a great experience. That's what I'm expecting, right? So hopefully they do that. But were you expecting different? I mean, what do you think?
Me?
Well,
yeah.
I don't know what I expect. I've not played Tears of the Kingdom, and I wasn't like trying to make direct comparisons to Redfall by any stretch. I think Redfall, the main reason that's part of the conversation is timing, because there were many people saying I'm never playing a 30 frames per second game. It's disastrous. It's not fun. And they did contradict themselves quite a lot by then going back to this one and saying it's brilliant, because either 30 frames feels good or it feels bad. Like, you're okay with it or you're not. I get the expectations on the hardware. I do think in terms of what Tears of the Kingdom is doing and the development studio and recognition, I absolutely agree that they should be applauded for being able to get this thing running on the abacus, as KSanti says. I just see chaos in review scores. I see like lack of meaning in review scores with this kind of context and stuff. So
I do agree with you there. And IGN did a little short video on how they qualify their reviews. And Alex did a good video. And I was like, what? I kind of knew it. They basically are guided by the algorithm and SEO. And then they decide, there's lots of games who will give an arbitrary 7 for a good game. And I'm like, that kind of exposes the absolute, sometimes futility. Me especially, guilty. Metacritic, I use it for the sake of conversation. But it's such a futile thing when it comes to gaming as well. I will say that. Okay, Santi, sorry, man. We've been ranting and spitting our way out, but it's been good.
Let me ask Santi a question. I need to ask one more. Santi.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a hypothetical for you based on all that stuff that's just been going back and forth. If Starfield releases on Xbox and scores a 95, which game would you anticipate would be more fun based on those review scores, Starfield or Zelda?
Oh, that's a very interesting question.
There's one correct answer there.
Well, hey. No, that's a very interesting question. If Starfield and Redfall are both Starfield and Tears of the Kingdom are both exactly at the same review level, which one will be more fun? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
I mean, probably by and large, most people would probably still say Tears of the Kingdom is more fun, because it is a franchise that by its very nature gets a lot more people into it. It's a known commodity.
Gameplay.
gameplay, right? And say what you will about Redfall, but I keep saying Redfall, about Starfield.
Please don't.
By and large, it's seemingly a combination of what do you call it? Their known games combined, right? In addition to like your what do you call it? No Man's Sky, but turned to 11, as it were. So, that in and of itself, from what I see, I'm looking forward to seeing what Starfield has to offer. But from what I see, that will still be an acquired taste versus the known commodity of Zelda that tends to bring the house down every time anybody mentions it. So it seems to still be a losing race. You know what I mean?
It depends. It's subjective, though. That's the thing. Like, how, for me, that pure Hoggy hit the nail on the head there. The whole spirit of what drives me and him to like Mario. So you hate Mario, but like Mario and Zelda. Like, I don't have, like, Mario just kills it. Like, I bought the game on Switch. What was it? A Super Mario 3, not 3D World, whatever it was, ages ago. And I was like shocked and like taken aback. I was like, I thought this is hype. This is overhyped. This is like, what is going on? Is this going toe to toe with like a 95, whatever the Metacritic was? But I couldn't believe it. I like, these guys are geniuses. The gameplay mechanics of the hat mechanic, and you take it and then they meld it together with the platforming. It's just like, what? How do they come up with it? Drugs.
They
it's
switch back to 2D drugs. And you're like, holy crap, it's so good.
Yeah. It's like, how do they do that? Like, everyone's like, it's nostalgia. So maybe to a certain degree, but really, to me, I can't explain to you how beautiful, free-forming this game world is. And I'm so grateful for Nintendo.
It seems to me that the reason why they're so successful at it is that they spend as much time on gameplay ideas as third-party developers do on honing their craft of, let's say, Unreal or something else. They spend a lot of time iterating on that gameplay idea. That's why it takes so many years to release their game and the QA and all of that, because when it's done, it is stamped done. Right?
Exactly. So they must have like these rooms, padded cells where the people are going la 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 la, just building these crazy ideas.
I honestly think that even though it works in their favor, Nintendo, that's also probably another reason why you don't get iterations on their hardware so frequently, because it takes so long to come out and solidify and refine that hardware to a fine point, to a point where you're ready to release it to the public. It takes your 8 years or whatever to get that thing working as well as it does, while all the while, people are on the third party side iterating on Unreal Engine 3, Unreal Engine 4, Unreal Engine 5. You know what I'm saying? While they're still churning the same butter that is Zelda, right? I think that's probably why.
Little known secret, it actually takes Nintendo 6 months to make any of their games. The rest of the time is just QA, and that's why they release like looking like shit but being all right. Last question, like just to round off the Zelda thing, hopefully, Gaz, this one, like we'll start with you straight away. So like I think I can't remember, what day did the Tears of the Kingdom reviews come out? In
Thursday?
The week. Like 2 days before that, there was a compiled list by, I think, GQ, where they went through loads of people from the industry, loads of people, journalists and all the rest of it, got them to nominate their 10 best games ever, so they could compile a comprehensive list of the best games of all time. And Breath of the Wild was the best game of all time. 2 days before these reviews came along that said Tears of the Kingdom is better than Breath of the Wild. So, Gaz, is Tears of the Kingdom now the best game of all time?
Well, for me personally, I would have voted Ocarina of Time. So I don't agree with that list. Halo didn't even make that top 10 list. The fucking shit list. Shit list.
But Hagi, you like it? Is it the best game of all time, or is Ocarina better, or something else better?
I mean, I would go with Ocarina because at the time, again, it reinvented stuff at that time, and it was a crazy good game. Is it the same, in comparison to today's games? No, right? But what it did at the time it came out was pretty damn impressive, right? But as far as this game, I can't say that yet because I haven't finished.
You haven't completed.
Until I get through the game,
is your gut feeling that it's better than Breath of the Wild so far, or has it lost some novelty?
If all of the systems are just enhanced and they're better, right? There isn't something that says, okay, they went the wrong way and it's bad. But I haven't heard that, right? But That's the thing I would look for, right? Is like this was pretty good in Breath of the Wild. They tweaked it and it got way worse, right? That would be a problem, right? Other than that, I would say, yeah, it's pretty good. I think one of the things that most people hated was the weapons break, right? And you have to cook things.
Fonz hates that.
Right? It's like, okay, and that could have been something they changed a bit, but they didn't, but they did give you the ability to fuse them, and there's so many of them scattered all over the place. You can just pick up stuff. Like
Tell
whatever,
Fonz that.
But look, it's part of the charm of the game, so it is what it is, right? That's the kind of the game they made. Is it the best game? I can't say that yet because I haven't finished it. I don't want to go there yet. I want to actually go through the game and then make my determination, right?
If they fix the dungeons, if they have actual dungeons, that was the weak point with the first Breath of the Wild. If they give us proper dungeons, that took me
like
somewhere.
The proper Zelda stuff that we used to have, right?
Yeah.
The boss dungeon and I don't know if they do. I haven't gotten there yet, so I
haven't even read the reviews.
So.
It is. I mean, it's difficult, right? Because you're talking about a game that laid the foundation and then a game that's improved upon it. Which one do you give the most credit to? Which do you reckon, KSNT, your gut feeling? I know you haven't finished or got all that far into Tears of the Kingdom, but which is the better game, Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom?
I mean, from what I can tell so far, how I believe so far that it is, and I'm only a few hours in, as I've already established, it is the blood and wine to its, Witcher 3. It is, right? Which by and large took the foundation and iterated upon it and made it better in every way. And so far it looks the same way to be doing that here. So, if you want me to, so it's DLC, of course.
That's it. Look, right there. Fonz and Zorka. Ask that. You just exposed them. You just exposed them so rawly. They fall into that trap, the DLC trap. You talked about this earlier, you motherfucker.
And I will say, if you hear me say it is blood and wine to the original base game, and you say that is DLC, and DLC is a pejorative for you, that is a you problem, not a me problem. Because if DLC is a word, it doesn't have to be F you. Like it doesn't have to mean that. Like you make it mean that. But that's neither here nor there. Like back to the framing of the question, though. Is it the greatest game ever by all these various metrics? I haven't gotten to that point where I can agree with that yet, right? There are so many of them that I have to see that I have to think that most of them are honest brokers and have seen something that transcends. So I'm waiting to see that myself, but I'm early in. I will say it's very innovative. Yeah.
One last question. We'll go KSNT up and then Gaz can take over to the next topic. Is this the last time we'll ever talk about the Nintendo Switch, KSNT?
I doubt that, unfortunately. I doubt that. And let me be clear here. I am a one-man band calling it the Abacus. It was released a year after they had released that reference hardware, which was the NVIDIA Shield, which I also own. I own an OG NVIDIA Shield. I've owned it for almost 8 years now or something. And so by the time the Switch had come out, it was obsolete. Literally a year after the release, it was obsolete because the hardware had already been referenced a year before that. And it's been there ever since. Hilarious to me. Absolutely hilarious.
Zorka and Fonzarelli are triggering me so much. I don't mind weapons degrading, says Fonz. I can fix them. Can you fix my foot when I break it in your ass?
Okay. So to be fair and to be clear, if you happen to play Breath of the Wild on PC, you can just turn off all the weapons breaking and just kind of not break anymore. But that's neither here nor there. Let's move on.
Well, if you want to trigger Zocker, it's pretty easy. Ragnarok was DLC. It was a shit game. I don't know why you even bother playing it. I don't understand,
Okay.
What's up with that? I mean, how do you play that piece of shit game? I don't understand.
This week, Zorka has been capping for Ragnarok in the background so much. Like, Gaz, have you played it? I love you, Huggy. I love that. Gaz on that 70s show vibe. Deliver X gets the reference. Sorry. Huggy, next? You want to ask that? Is this the last time we're going to talk about the Switch? What kind of question is that? You were doing well until you asked this
there's lots of talk that this is the last big Nintendo game for the Switch, so...
Oh, that was the question. I didn't even understand that. That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
so.
when Metroid Prime, whatever the heck it is.
4, yeah, whatever it is.
Right. And that probably will still be coming to Switch. Pikmin is coming. I don't know what else is scheduled to come, but Nintendo has a lot of games every year, so it wouldn't surprise me if there's another one. I also don't know if if they are going to launch the next Switch or whatever it's called with Mario, if it wouldn't be cross-gen like Zelda was. Breath of the Wild was cross-gen, so they might have it for both. So you're probably still going to see, is this held back by the old hardware, right? That kind of stuff. We'll probably still be talking about Switch, right? Until everything is not cross-gen and it's all gone. I hope they do a clean schism. That would be really good.
I'm hoping
they
that too.
desperately need it. So, but
the amount of money they have made, the lessons they have learned from Wii U to Switch, you would be nuts to think that they will not double dip. All I have is one thing to point to you, and that is Mario Kart. That's a Wii U game that makes all the money, even to this very freaking game.
There's a lot on the Switch as well. Is it like 40 million, 50 million copies or something ridiculous?
It's ridiculous.
It's a lot.
Ridiculous. Like how much they sell. Like they can release the Super Switch or whatever, if you will, and just release ports for like 4 years.
Yeah, their games.
Don't give them ideas.
It's what they're gonna do. Admit it. Be prepared. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, but Asa, to your question, this does feel like this is it should be the swan song.
The swan song.
Yeah, I think we're in the same touching tips. But this is the swan song for the Switch. And I do feel like it will be. So if Metroid was like in design, because they went back to concept phase with that, they announced that a few years ago, then I'm hoping that there's a clean break. I doubt it.
We don't even know if there is another piece of hardware coming next year. There's a lot of assumption that that's happening because the sales are starting to dip, right? But they may say, we don't care. We sold like 130 million and we might get to 140 or 50 million, and that's good for a while, and we'll keep going for a few more years. I don't know. Like one of the things you run into is this, like, and I don't know if we're going to go into the ROG Ally, but is the power to battery to cost, and they have to kind of deal with that. And Nintendo walked away from the idea of doing, we will subsidize the console because the third parties were all taken off by Sony. So they basically said, well, we're not going to compete with that because we're not going to get our money back. So we have to sell a console at profit at start, right? So that means it's not going to be high power because they're not going to sell it for $1,000. So it's going to be a $300-$400 price point, right? So the ROG Ally is awesome, but it's $700, right? Are they going to go do that same thing? Even the lower powered one is $600, right? I don't know if they're going to go there. Steam still gets the beauty of, we have a store, all the games you're going to play are ours. We get that cut. Right, so even if you buy a Steam Deck and it's subsidized $400, we're still getting our cut for every game you play, right? So good on them. It makes it work for them, but that's not how it's going to work for Nintendo because they just don't get those games. But I mean, maybe if the power is there, just by the fact that they've gotten to the point where diminishing returns, hey, you can play the game 1080 at 30 or 60, and it can be whatever AAA game, so they might just target the platform anyway, then they can get the money back. But that is a decision they would have to make. If we make it, will they come? Right, that is kind of the headache they're in, and my guess is they're not going to do that. I think Nintendo's going to still say it's got to be profitable at start, which means the hardware's got to be significantly cheaper than the $300-$400 price point. They might be able to do $400. I think the current the OLED version is it $350 or $400, something like that, right? So they might be able to charge say $400 for the console. It's still cheaper than their competitors, right? So but it's going to be in that same problem of how much power battery are you actually going to have in there, right? So they could do all sorts of things. With the ROG Ally coming out, you have the ability to get an APU that can do a lot, right? So, but there's a price for it.
Well, but you also have to remember, though, the ROG Ally, the Nintendo, the ROG Ally, the Xbox, the PlayStation, they all have one thing in common. They tend to go with the platform that is more willing and able to work with them, which is AMD. Right, and we've already had that conversation up until now.
Cheaper,
that as much as we dislike them, cheaper, exactly, cheaper to bend over backwards and make it work with those platforms. Right, we've already established that although they tend to be the evil empire, they are the evil empire because Nvidia is the top of the stack. Like they always tend to have like an outsized, overarching influence as far as performance is concerned on their competitors, right? So that's what makes the space interesting for somebody like Intel, because as long as it's just AMD and NVIDIA, we will never see this space change. You'll never see it change, even for
potentially
like Nintendo. Right?
Potentially, because
I can tell you that on the Nintendo side, if they stick with NVIDIA, we already know their next iteration, because all their next iterations keep leaking and they keep showing up and we keep seeing it, right?
Yep.
And I will tell you that their last reference design that came out, NVIDIA's, was not as performant as what the ROG Ally is going to be, because that market has left them as far as NVIDIA is concerned. Nobody really seems to play in that space anymore. You know what I'm saying? So unless Nintendo goes, hey, we need something new and special that beats this ROG Ally, the Z chip, quickly, which they could potentially do, right? This is Nintendo, right? They could do that. What's available that we already know is out there in the market, the ROG Ally is beating it so far. So it'll be interesting to see what NVIDIA does.
This is what competition does, though, right?
Yes.
So
absolutely.
it's now up to NVIDIA to say, hey, we can play with them too, and here's what we're going to do, right? This isn't just Nintendo, because we all know it's running NVIDIA's chip, right? So it's really NVIDIA in the market versus their competitor, AMD, right? Or at some point, as Asa was mentioning, Intel might be a good option too, right? And when you look at that and you say, okay, well, NVIDIA, you suck here. Right, you have the option for another 100 million consoles, but you didn't come to the table and actually come up with something good, right? And I don't know if they will just cave and say to hell with it, or will they say no, we're gonna eke out every bit of performance, we're gonna put everything into software and make it work, right? Because they could absolutely do that, and it's really what they do with it, right? So
just to kind of bring this one back, because we'll double dip on the AOS, the ROG whatever. I'll just say, Nintendo will just be weird. And you're talking about power specs. They'll just do something, the capacity of them doing something like, oh, that's unique. That goes beyond just hardware specs. Don't be surprised. And that's what they're probably doing.
Toes, you say? Yes, we
about.
could put some loops around your toes. Next Nintendo.
Yeah, you never know. They would. And they're trying to sell you cardboard before, so you never.
They successfully sold people cardboard. What are we trying to say?
Exactly.
Who's more ridiculous? The person
I'm not saying
selling
it's
the
bad.
cardboard or the people that bought the cardboard?
Don't. Okay, this is gonna make us Zelda fans look bad. So let me read the super chats very quickly. Thank you so much for so many super chats. Shabs Inevitable with £2. He goes, I dumped the game from my own Switch. Okay, and a lot of people did.
That's it. Yeah, emulate that way.
Yeah. Nintendo the Otaku with a $5 super chat. Nintendo's threatening people's masculinity again. Y'all more worried about a game you don't plan on playing than your console's lack of games.
Wow.
What the flip? That's why Nintendo fanboys are weird. But yeah, okay. Grumble with a $5.
You basically just said Xbox has no games.
Yeah, basically. That's the Nintendo version of it. Brought in masculinity. A Nintendo fanboy cannot bring masculinity. Let's be fair. That is weird.
Okay.
Have you seen the line of people that were waiting for this game? I was like, he didn't shower. That person does not grow hair. Grumble with a $5 super chat before I get cancelled. Preach Hoggy. PlayStation makes movies posing as games. Oh, sauce. Nintendo on the Otaku, the hairless one with the $5 super chat. Nintendo has the highest rated games. Media bias. That explains why they have the highest selling exclusives too. Clowns always making excuses. This is what happens with fanboys. They get a little bit bold. They get so saucy. It happens on all platforms.
Yeah.
Phones gaming. Fonts. Thank you, phones. Thank you, Fonts. He goes, Gaz, this isn't just you. I think he's talking about the. Oh yeah, I've watched several streams of people having a hard time with some of the controls in Zelda. You're still having issues. David Jaffe, just before this show, I was watching him. He did struggle because the menu kind of, you pause it into attach, attachments to your weapons, and that isn't the great part of it. And I often find myself, well, it's freaking Nintendo. B is here, X is here, A is here, Y is here. It's the complete opposite of this, bro. It's like A, B, X, Y. So getting used to that takes ages. So if you primarily play on Xbox. This is just so annoying. So that is adding to the confusion. It's
like
not that
learning a different language. It's the same thing, but it's backwards, and it makes it complicated for you. I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, it was constantly kept doing that. Rambling Entertain, thank you for the $5 super chat, guys. If it asks for next gen price, it should give next gen performance. We didn't even talk about this. A review should be measured with that in mind. Value, yes, maybe.
That wasn't the
Elden Ring cost $60. No excuse.
So, but the $70 is because it's a larger chip, right? The game has more than usual. And because it's got a larger chip in the actual cartridge, unfortunately they have to charge more for it, right? But okay, and you could say, hey, the digital could cost less and the physical could cost the extra, but they generally don't do that, right? They usually price parity across the board. I think from a consumer perspective, it would be better if we actually got discounts for digital, since we're not getting a physical anything, right? But that has not happened. It's not materialized, right? So, but I think that's
still think it's an L. That I feel like, I don't know about the bigger chip thing, but I think that is just primarily Nintendo, in my opinion, thought we could charge 70 because they'll buy it at 70. Although to be fair, in the UK, I bought it for like 40 thing, and I think a lot of people would see the price. You'd be, unless it's digital or through the store, you could easily find much lower priced games. I'm not saying it's a defense, but
even they themselves are offering you a discount if you buy one of their coupon things with the two games for $50
they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, even they themselves, when they said, "Hey, this is our first $70 game. Oh, by the way, here's a coupon to get it for $50 if you buy another game with it."
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the thing you've always had. You can basically buy what is it? It's a certificate that lets you buy 2 games for $100.
2 games for $50 each. Yeah.
Okay.
So
well, it kind of
they
forces you to buy
Cannot
another
make me
game.
play 2 games on that damn thing.
I know. I have to buy another game.
Shout out to almost 500 people watching. Smash that like button. Nintendo the Otaku again. Please tell me you don't go raw. Thank you. Go raw if you want, man. We love it, actually. Thank you for the $5 super chat. No one gave the DS or PSP games worse reviews for not performing like the GameCube or the PlayStation 2. It's a handheld, and the scale is to the other games on similar hardware. Asa?
I disagree, because the Switch is not, like, you can play it handheld, but it is their TV experience, so I think it should be held up against other games in that tier.
Okay. Well, you heard it,
blurring
Nintendo.
The lines, that is true, right? And if the hybrid future ever comes to pass, that'll be a blurred line even more, right? Imagine a world where you have a hybrid machine that is 720p in your hands. You plug it into your PC, and now all of a sudden your living room, and now all of a sudden you're playing at full fidelity. That is very possible.
Isn't that what the ROG Ally?
I think that's a good answer.
Right?
Exactly. Yes. So it makes that delineation between handheld versus desktop. The waters are getting muddy. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Mike, thank you so much for the $11 Canadian. Zelda's blowing people away because there were little to no expectations of it. Are you mad, bro? Mike, what you... Starfield, on the other hand, is doomed to fail because people desperately need it to be a 10 out of 10 banger. Now, there is an element of source there, but that's Microsoft's doing. That's Bethesda's own doing. They've heavily relied on it, and everyone wants this to be good. And that bias, I agree with you, Mike, will factor into how fickle some of these reviewers are, because I don't think they apply. That IGN thing shocked me, but I don't think these guys, they can't divorce themselves out of this whole noise in the space. So that second part, I agree with you. Starfield, in my opinion, it's not doomed to fail. I think that's a bit hyperbole there. I think it will have a tougher time getting that score. But I get what you're trying to say. Perhaps you're not meant it that literally. I probably didn't. Doomed to fail. Come on. Glitch Doctor, thank you for the €5 super chat. The system in the Tears of the Kingdom, that TOTK puts me off, are amazing. Yes, they are. But the open world is lacking, in my opinion. Beautiful art style. But all you do is find puzzles and shrines once again. I hate puzzles generally in games. I love the puzzles in this game.
That is because you struggle so much.
But that's why I like it. If I struggled at it, why would I like it? But you should see my attempts at the other puzzles. Oh my god, they made the other one look good. I'm bad at them. Like, oh god, I don't know. I'm never doing a like IQ test thing if they have like those puzzles up.
To be fair, I absolutely resent. If I'm streaming, I hate it when any kind of puzzle comes up because all you can do is look stupid if you get it wrong.
Yeah. Everyone's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "La la la." I watched it back. I'm like, "Oh my god, guys!" And I over-engineer. Anyway, Biggity08, thank you, man, with the $5 super chat. Hoggy is fired up because this is the only time he gets to talk about Nintendo. Facts, absolutely facts. Replicate. £5. Thank you so much, man. He goes, if you've got a Switch Pro controller, you can button map the X, Y, and AB buttons to the same layout as an Xbox at system level. Should help. I didn't know that. Oh, rated. Thank you for that. That will change. I'll have to get used to it, but I will do that. Thank you for that. Shout out to Cole Eastwood in the chat because I've been having fun with Gaz all week. That's a lie because he said he was having fun with Redfall. And we know how that turned out. It goes both ways, bro. I would just love mad love, Cole. Right, let's park the Zelda and that talk to one side. Let's move a little bit to Mortal Kombat. I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan. I know, Asa, you're not a Mortal Kombat fan, but it's coming. The official, like, it's starting. Apparently, it's coming to be released very soon. You'd think it would be Mortal Kombat 12, but sorry, Cole. But there's on Twitter they released. I don't know if you guys saw it. Teased a little, and it's the clock is going 9, 10, 11. You think Mortal Kombat 12, and it skips 12 and goes straight to 1. What does that mean? It means that they're suggesting that it's actually going back to reboot. Back to MK1 style, which is interesting because with Chronica, and if you play the story, a lot of it
spoilers.
That's not spoiler. That's the main enemy.
I'm just giving you a hard time. Go ahead, bro.
Oh, you scared the shit out of me because I was like, wait, what? Chronica? No, Chronica is the main enemy in Mortal Kombat 11. A lot of it is time bendy, and one of the best trailers ever made in gaming, ever made for me, was the Mortal Kombat 11 trailer. Not the. A lot of people didn't like the hip hop one. I was like, okay, it's not a big deal. But what that did do was cause NetherRealm to then use the Test Your Might techno song, and the trailer is so good. I watched it last week out of fun. I always dip into it. Such a good game. Story was really cool, really wild out there. So I'm just wondering, like, Mortal Kombat, like, is it doing, like, are they running out ideas? I don't know. I'm generally really excited, actually. But the time-bending stuff and reboot stuff, I don't know. Are you a big Mortal Kombat fan, Santi?
I play less Mortal Kombat these days. I play Mortal Kombat more in a single-player mode than I used to. I will say, as a lot of people have nostalgia for various games, Mortal Kombat is high on my Mount Rushmore. Like, it's one pinnacle franchise for me. I used to play really hardcore underground in the Netherlands, fight tournaments and all of this stuff when I was a kid in Mortal Kombat Ultimate. So I'm a huge fan of Mortal Kombat. I have big respect for Mortal Kombat as it basically created the ESRB. So, come on now.
Yeah.
Its presence on gaming is known for all eternity, and I'm the biggest fan of Ed Boon. So,
Ed Boon, shout out to him.
So yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be big. I mean, we've got pretty stacked in fact, you've got such a beautiful year for fighters. You've got Street Fighter. Then you've got Tekken, which looks mad. We're going to see more and more trailers of it. They showed off Harang today. Was it today? The trailer for Harang looks mad. And then they've got this. And apparently this one's actually launching this year, they're saying. I don't know if that's true or not. But if that, you've got Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and freaking Tekken. These are the big three fighters. And they all land this year? Come on, man. We are spoiled like mad. I fell off. Like, I haven't played fighters for a long time, but those are my favorite. That was one of my favorite genres. So now I'm like, which one do I play? I have to stick to one to be good. Mortal Kombat was my first ever game. So for me, I'm very hyped.
But you know what, though? What I actually love about Mortal Kombat is not only that it established the ground that it did in the 90s and all that, and that's my genre, that's my time frame. So I remember it so clearly and clever, and I remember it lovingly. I also love that it has set a new benchmark for what campaigns should be in a
storytelling
in a fighter,
good.
Right? Like it is the best, and obviously all that is tutorial to get you to the multiplayer, right?
Yeah.
But it is the best tutorial of any. Well, now it's beyond the tutorial phase.
Yeah.
But still, the best use of the best style that you put together for that purpose ever. Like no, if Street Fighter comes out and does not even try to do this, I'll be very disappointed. Every fighter needs to try what Mortal Kombat is doing as far as
they need to,
useful in a campaign context. I would love it if Street Fighter basically did this, play an anime, if you will, of the best anime movies out there are Street Fighter animes, right, from the 90s. Imagine replaying that, but you're playing it, which exactly what it would be. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. Like Mortal Kombat set that standard, and even though I know that a lot of fighters out there are like, oh, it's about the multiplayer, I get that, but some of us play the campaign too. And
no, you're right.
There, I think.
No, you're spot on there, man. Like you're so like, yeah, it was a glorified tutorial, but it didn't feel like a tutorial, and it schooled everything. And now it's come big for me. And I'm a multiplayer head. That's a big part of the spectacle. Is Mortal Kombat's campaign. Even before then,
gets you to play with every character almost, right? It gets you to play with characters you wouldn't play with.
I think you played everyone, almost everyone.
I mean? Yeah. That's what makes me think it's a glorified tutorial, because it's like, hey, try this guy. But they're doing it with this huge overarching story, and you're so invested, and it's campy and ridiculous, but it's great.
And play the enemies or the bad guys as well.
Yeah. And the same studio does the Injustice series, right? And that also kind of follows that same flow.
Same thing.
And it goes through the Injustice storyline.
So Injustice is a good point that you made there. I don't really care so much for that superhero thing, but I thought, wait, because I knew they had the same story, structure as Mortal Kombat. I had to play it. Loved it. Introduced me to comic characters I didn't even know about. And so that storytelling is so good in Mortal Kombat games. I liked Tekken. I was a Tekken baby, man, on PlayStation. Tekken 1, 2, 3 tag team, 4 as well. Then I dropped off. But those stories were really good because they had this cool, funny CGI cutscenes, or the classic ones like Kazuya throwing. Heihachi throwing Kazuya off the cliff, and I think Kazuya does the same to Jin. And there's so many good stories with that Tekken 3 stories of Mokujin, then Gon, the little farting dinosaur. There's so many good vibes there. So it's not like there was no competition, but Mortal Kombat took that to a whole new level. Now, if it's next gen, please be current gen only. Please. I think it is. I think I saw something on it, but the blood, the gory blood X-ray moves, these I'm more excited about Mortal Kombat, but yeah, like that's from all the three, but I like all three, so I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. We're gonna see it next month. They're saying it's the rumor mill, either this at the end of this month we'll talk about PlayStation Showcase in a bit, or next month with Xbox. I think we're going to get it. I can't wait.
I really hope they push the envelope visually, because Tekken did a great job. Like
Tekken was sick. Unreal Engine 5 as well.
Pushing that envelope. I need Mortal Kombat to come with that as well, so they have a really good visual competition there. I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like.
Yeah, now all we need is Killer Instinct to come back, and bam, we are laughing. Oh, that would be so beautiful. So I mean, Street Fighter 5 is no visual slouch. It relies more on the effects, like cool visual effects, which is cool. Whereas Tekken, Unreal Engine 5 looks really good, beautiful. Mortal Kombat, I'm sure it's going to be. I'm very confident because even the last one looked beautiful. I have to give a shout out to this super chat that killed me. Glitch Doctor with a €5 super chat goes, leave Colt alone, Gaz. He did something even Arcane Studios didn't do. He finished Redfall. Shout out to you. Probably one of the best super chats I've read.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Asa, do you have anything to add on Mortal Kombat? I suspect.
Like you said at the start, I've never particularly liked the Mortal Kombat games. I always found them quite like jerky and stunted in the way that you move. And I find the gory executions things, they were like signature Mortal Kombat when it came out in the 90s or whenever it was. And they were silly back then, and they've got excessively more silly. So now you're like, oh, you exploded their brain, their testicles, and you snapped their spine. They lost a third of their health. Carry on. What on earth? But I do like the way, like, as the campaign goes, I like the way that it delivers the story. They had, I think it was Mortal Kombat 10 was like way ahead of the curve in terms of like facial animation and capture. They did a really surprisingly good job of delivering technically on that front. I quite liked Injustice for the same reason. I didn't particularly like the combat, but they did actually tell the story pretty well. In terms of fighting games, so you've got Tekken come in, which looks gorgeous. Like, it looks gorgeous, but Tekken I've also always found a little bit stunted and janky. You've got Mortal Kombat, which I fully anticipate will look gorgeous. And you've got Street Fighter 6 that looks like a potato, but it's probably the one that I'm more likely to enjoy because I've traditionally quite liked Street Fighter's like method of fighting. The one that I've always, not always, but the one that I kind of wish that I'd spent more time with and learned to play properly is Killer Instinct. The Xbox version of Killer Instinct has a really nice like rock paper scissors counter system that I never really got to grips with, but it looked like for me that would be a game that flows really well and looks good at the same time. So I'd like to see that one coming back. But between the games that are coming back, so Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, which one do you reckon you're going to invest time into, Gaz?
It's a toss up actually between Tekken and Mortal Kombat for me. Even though Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix I was amazing at. In fact, technically, probably is the more proficient of the three in esports and in terms of fighting game pedigree. But I just have more fun with Tekken and the combos. I still remember they retain those. And Mortal Kombat, I did play a lot of ranked of Mortal Kombat 9. So I don't know. It depends. I played a lot of ranked on Killer Instinct, by the way. The best netcode I've ever encountered for a game that has millisecond moves, like if you played Killer Instinct. So, but I don't know. I'm asking that question myself now. If I go play with Street Fighter and hit a certain character feels right, I might play. I'm going to try all of them. And, we'll see. We'll see which one lands. And the netcode is so important. Netcode is so important in games like this. So it depends. In terms of netcode, Mortal Kombat's netcode, NetherRealms has been dog shit. So when I played Injustice, I was wrecking with Supergirl because I was relying on some cheap moves and the netcode was crap. I'm like, this is not really satisfying. Street Fighter, didn't have a great time. It was iffy. Tekken as well. I mean, these games' netcodes haven't been that good for me. But Killer Instinct was beautiful. And I was playing ranked seriously on that with Saberwolf. That, I don't know. It depends on netcode is so important.
You know why you seem to have that example? Because the only one where the netcode is good was made by the people who own the platform it was running off of. It was running off of Azure. The others always depend on some third party to fill in that netcode for them. So you can never have it tuned the way you want it to. Microsoft owned Azure, and that's why the netcode works so well. But no, it's interesting you say that. It's good. Interesting.
Yeah. No, for me, it's all about netcode. And nowadays, do we even have time to devote to multiplayer? But in games, because we, especially us lot, like doing content creation, people don't want to sit. Remember how long I was playing Apex Legends? I felt like, wait a minute, I felt like I had to change my gaming habits. So it's a bit sad, but it's fun at the same time. It's different. I don't know. So online may not make a factor. I'm saying all of that. It might be the single player experiences. I don't know. But it's a good question. And I think a lot of people have that issue, or not a good issue to have. Which one do they invest time in? Face, thank you for the $20 super chat. Hoggy, Shui or Herman may have visited Pixel, Opus, and Deviation assessed their progress, and ultimately decided to pull the plug. You see, Redfall, we're not doing that here, Sony. So this is a good segue into the next topic: PlayStation layoffs at Deviation Games. Like, Face, they may be part of quality assurance, but why are you going to automatically assume that? Huggy, do you want to have a counter to this guy? He's saying is, while I go and quickly take a piss, what do you have to say to that? I can still hear you. Piss.
You're muted, Huggy.
None of us
Why
can
are you
hear
not
you.
saying anything? I'm taking a piss. I'm holding it in. Sorry.
Sorry, I was muted. So like, not knowing all the background of what their reasoning is to do this, there's always potential to say, okay, we either change the game or, give you a new game instead of releasing the studio. They must have had a reason to do this. It's probably just cost cutting, right? There's a lot of cost cutting going on everywhere. And if I guess if the studio hasn't produced something of value in a while, this might be the way they look at it, right? It's disappointing, though. I mean, you'd think that maybe they could find a way to take advantage of the developers at least and put them to use somewhere else, right? But apparently not. I don't know. Maybe it is just they saw the quality of it and said this is not a game we want to release. That's totally fair. That's fine. However, then releasing the actual studio is kind of an interesting choice.
I've got a gap here. So Deviation, Sony acquired that studio at some point like last year, right? Or am I wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they acquired them off the back of like pretty much zero that they'd already done on the basis of this new live service game that they're in the process of making. That they then decided
that is what I was looking up. Yes, that is what I was looking up. Yeah, it seems like, and as soon as Hargeet said that, I was like, I thought that was different. Deviation hasn't actually released anything yet.
Yeah.
Now they are obviously an amalgamation of other studios that have formed Deviation, so there's old veteran talent there, but technically as Deviation by itself, it is a virgin studio with no releases.
So the people in chat are telling us that they didn't acquire them; they just had the license for this game. I know I've seen news passed around that Deviation, as a result of this game being cancelled, had to let 90 of their staff go, which I would think is probably most of that studio. I don't know how large that studio is, but that's obviously a large number of people. So Sony didn't own them. They cancelled the live service game that they had contracted as an exclusive. This kind of thing, like from Sony's perspective, that's a difficult one because if Deviation have been contracted to make a game and that game is not panning out and they're not hitting deadlines or whatever, like they don't want a scale-bound situation where you keep pumping money into a third party that are making a game and you can just tell that it's not going to pan out. But obviously, like human side of it, that's 90 people out of work. You don't like to see it. It's hard. It's difficult. You can't really point fingers and blame as such, but it's a sad situation.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that's the case, then it isn't really on Sony, right? Because it's up to the studio to make something of value if it's contracted out, right? So if that's not working, I mean, I gotta kind of side with Sony on that one, right? It has to meet some quality bar. Equivalently, we've seen the opposite happen on the Xbox side, where they just let it go. Contraband slipped a year, maybe 2 years. We don't know how long that's going to take. There've been other games that they just keep taking longer and longer. Granted, there was a pandemic. I get that, but ultimately you do have to meet deadlines that you're setting, right? So if you're going to have a contract with somebody, you kind of have to meet those deadlines. Xbox and Microsoft have been nice to them, but they could have easily said, hey, you didn't meet the deadlines, we're stopping the funding, go away, right? And Sony's just saying, hey, look, it's a business partnership, you said you'd do this, so fair enough. If it's not meeting their needs, it's not meeting their needs. This is going to be the fun part about trying to make 10, 12 games as a service games. That is a difficult thing to do, to make at any level, to make a game that can actually work in that model. It takes a lot of people to make a game like that work, and unless you have the 1,000+ people, it's not easy to make something with content drops every couple of weeks, every month, to keep people engaged. And so when Sony's looking at that, hopefully they've been evaluating that potential. If they haven't, they might be running into this. Well, how does it work? How does it, because Halo Infinite was going to be that, and that studio wasn't small, but it wasn't as big as it needed to be, and had that content problem. It still, to a point, does, right? It does not have enough to give you every few weeks. So, and you look at Destiny, they do a decent job, but it took them a while to get there, and they have 1,000 people-ish, right, in that range. And so Sony must recognize that, hey, now that we own Bungie, we kind of see what it takes to make this happen, right? So looking at all these games as a service contracts that we might have or whatever, because I assume most of their studios are still working on the single player big games, right? The God of Wars and stuff like that. That most of these are going to be different studios making them for them. That, hey, you can't sustain this. So I don't know. This is an interesting point, and see what happens as they move forward with their next showcase. Will they be showing some of these games as a service games or not? Right? We still haven't seen the one from Naughty Dog, and maybe that's giving them more hints of like, cool, we could put this out, but good God, is it going to take a lot of people to keep this up, right? And how are we going to do that and meet a quality bar that's going to be synonymous with PlayStation, right? It's an interesting thought, and I don't know, right? So if this wasn't their studio, then I don't fault Sony for saying, yeah, we're walking away because this just doesn't look like it's going to meet our needs, right? So fair enough.
It's hard not to feel the human cost and to side with a corporation like that.
That's fair, but
you summarized it beautifully. I think that's really good. There are a lot of facets there. The human, the workforce needed. We've got clear examples of that, them failing, including 343, which is a great example of that. And the requirement for this constant demand for content. It's very hard to blurt out 10 live service games that maybe they. And that's a great point about Bungie being acquired, and now them actually opening their eyes to what's actually required there. That's a great point, because Sony, I'm sure, are learning from that. So yeah, we're not going to weaponize it like people are saying. Oh yeah, Sony. I mean, but ultimately it's a bit of shit when people lose their jobs. So it is what it is. But we will find out next month, because. Is this confirmed? Because the PlayStation showcase is rumored to happen at the end of this May, according to Jeff Grubb. And this week we had, what's his name? Jez Corden. Jez Corden and Jeff Grubb. I always confuse the two. Jez Corden doubled down on Special Nick's rumor. And he confirmed it, so now you know it's not bullshit. Just kidding, Nick. But generally, this is quite surprising to nobody. PlayStation apparently is making deals with Konami's suite of IPs, including Metal Gear Solid is already into the deals, apparently, according to Jez. Silent Hill and Castlevania. Those are the three big, really, Konami things, and Konami jumped into the gaming space again. Why would they not turn down the money? PlayStation goes straight for the jugular and gets those three deals. Now, I mean, you can talk about that deal as well, but what I want to angle this at, and I've been getting a bit heat. I don't give a shit. People are like, well, not me, actually. It's people like Xbox fans and some content creators are crying about the fact that the mere notion that me and Colt Eastwood and some other people are saying, just fire back now, Microsoft. We don't, and we've had this conversation before. And Asa, you're a proponent of what Phil Spencer's ethical standpoint on this is, and we talked about this last month. But for me, it's like, you're a sink or swim. Yeah, it's always sink or swim with Xbox, but it's like this time you've got clear example, especially this gen. The money hatting has become a bit farcical. So why is there some Xbox fans like, oh, don't copy Sony, but you have to, what do you want? A platform?
I would say, Gaz, on this though, it's a little bit like, assuming that all of this is happening and Sony have made these deals with Konami to do Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill and Castlevania and so on. What I'm glad that Phil Spencer walked away from is things like the Call of Duty marketing deal, where these are things that are just made to spite other players. Like Sony had this marketing deal that takes content away from Xbox players, and like go back 10 years and it was the other way around. That's what Phil Spencer walked away from. Possibly one of the biggest mistakes that he's made in terms of like commercials. He walked away from that deal with Activision back then. But this is a little bit different, because this is one of those examples where these games might not exist without these deals being made, because Konami weren't making Metal Gear and Silent Hill and all the rest of it. And I would think if Microsoft were to try and find valuable partnerships to bring things to their customers, I would be massively in support of that. So if Microsoft had gone to Konami and sorted out a Metal Gear Solid deal, fantastic. You brought Metal Gear Solid to use as your platform. Sony doing that is not necessarily, and I'm definitely object to the way that Sony do their they're timed money hats. They're like Final Fantasy is an example. That sucks that that's not coming to other platforms, and it benefits no one, because clearly Final Fantasy 16 would have happened without that deal being in place. This one's a little bit different because these games, maybe they are bringing us something rather than taking something away.
The only thing that counters that is, and again, it's rumor mill, so I know it's not exactly meaty, but Jez Corden actually suggests that some of these might actually be timed exclusives, in which case then it's not that. We don't know. It's rumor mill. I know it's a bit all of that. It's always the case. You're right, though. Street Fighter 5 got a lot of flack from the Xbox community, including myself, and PlayStation made it, me, Street Fighter headed like after SF2, and I didn't even play Street Fighter to this day because of that bullshit. But really, actually, that was transformative to Capcom's fate, and PlayStation gets, like we said on the show, gets the accolade for, or brownie points for assisting Capcom in its recovery. If this is one of those, I still think, look, if you call it straight money hatting, then Microsoft, like the game industry, again, bro, I'm with you there. But I think in the long term, this industry will benefit from feisty competition. And this is this gutter battle. I'm with you there. But I just don't want PlayStation to get comfortable, and it is comfortable, but it was really uncomfortable at the start of this gen. It was really uncomfortable. You even had a very uncharacteristic behavior from the likes of Herman Hulst and them lot, having been forced to come out on the podium and speak on things like they wouldn't normally do. And there was a lot of competition, and Xbox was doing well with allowing, smart shift and all these things like basic, and PlayStation was looking bad. Now Xbox has shat the bed, albeit temporarily. We'll talk about what's happening in the showcase. It's shit. I will always say timed exclusivity is shit. But as an Xbox fan, I'm like, fuck it. Just go hard now. Just do it. Because I don't want the fans to suffer, but I want this industry to thrive. And I want to see Xbox sharpen its fangs. So what do you think about this, KSRT? Do you think that Xbox should follow suit, stop buying shit? And if you do think that, what would you suggest they buy?
So honestly, I being in the privileged position that I am in, I don't have a dog in the fight. So it is what it is. I really don't care particularly one way or another. But what I will say for the purposes of this conversation is, so I take Phil Spencer at his word when they say they don't want to be the green version of what the blue guys are doing, right? And until that stuff comes to fruition, whatever it is that they're doing, whatever their game plan is, until that actually comes to fruition, everyone will have smoke for them about, come on, why don't you do what the blue guys are doing? Because the blue guys are winning. Why aren't you acting in that same way, right? Maybe we get to a world where the final form of what Phil Spencer was talking about is reached, and we see, they were doing something different all along, and now we see the benefits of why they weren't following the same path. And then hindsight is 2020. Everybody's like, they were right the whole time, right? We're not there yet. We're not. So the smoke is righteous, and people continue giving them that smoke because, come on, show us what you're going to do. If you say you don't want to be the blue rendition of the green team, then show us what you do that's different. That puts you at that level of quality we want to see you while still being different. And they haven't done that yet. So until they do, I say go for it. It's the smoke. It is what it is. All this talk about Microsoft, about Sony securing these Konami IPs, of course. Why wouldn't they? And if you
I'm not faulting Sony.
Yeah. If you're looking at the IPs we're talking about, they are synonymous with PlayStation, right? Your Silent Hills, your Castlevanias. Yes, they've changed hands and they've been elsewhere as well, of course. But as to the point of Phil Spencer talking about we're playing a different game, right? As they have different business models, right? And we're just taking them at their word. Sony's business model is, I sell you my box, you buy my games. And in that paradigm, as we've known it to be successful for them, it's, I got to get you to buy my box because I have this thing that you can't get anywhere else. So
exactly.
while that business model may not be to everyone's liking, we're in 2023 and there are many other options available now. I get that. But why would you, Sony, quit that business model when it's made you the market leader? So still, you're out there grabbing the money hats, if you will, and getting people to come and play on your box, because that's the only way you get their money at that point. Microsoft is doing a different thing. I can understand that, right? You can choose to purchase here, or you can choose to subscribe and dabble and graze as you do, right? If they want to do something different, cool. Like, I'm a subscriber of Game Pass Ultimate. I'm also a subscriber of PlayStation Premium. I would love nothing more than a world where I can get all of my gaming things fulfilled based off of those various subscription services. It's not quite there yet, but I'm there for it as a consumer, right? I want to give Microsoft the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to continue giving them the benefit of the doubt, but they need to get to their final form to show us why we're wrong for wanting them to do what the blue team does. They need to show that. And so far they haven't. So it is.
That's a great answer. Great answer. And that's the answer I should just clip and send it out to all the people who are the detractors of this kumbaya. The kumbaya crowd who would say that. And you're right. Xbox on its own merit, on its own model, is failing. So if fans are getting intolerant of it, because ultimately we assess it on exclusive experiences, whether rightly or wrongly.
But see, don't give me too many flowers, because I can say something that will then get the virtual tomatoes thrown at me righteously, and I'll do that right now. And that is, I've always been under the school of thought is, if you want the high fidelity experience, there's a device for you, and it's not a console.
Well, high fidelity is slightly different.
Meaning high frame rate. If you don't want to be in the world where you must choose, because I know that Asa has said that a time or two, where he hates the idea that the choice is given to the consumer. I want the best of both. Just give it to me the way it's supposed to be and let me move on. And in that world, it should be PC. And yes, I know that's a faulty argument, Asa, because on PC you have nothing but choices. But if you ever want to live in a world where you never have to choose, well, this is filmic, so I'm okay with 30, and I want this, and I'm okay with that. If you want both, PC. I know that's not a popular opinion. I know that, but it's still the case, at least right now, anyway.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Sensible. And I like the previous Asante first. No, but it's fine. PC, yeah, fine, fair enough. No, that's okay.
But I also play on console. I play everywhere. You know, I do. There's a place and time for all things, right? I always make this analogy. You'll see me watch a lot of stuff on Netflix. I love Netflix, but you won't see me watch The Matrix on Netflix because the Blu-ray must come out. Everyone plays that differently.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I recently, my eyes opened to the quality of Blu-ray on disc versus streaming.
You live in Netflix, you think that's all there is, until somebody puts in a Blu-ray and blows your freaking mind.
Only like
you're
last
losing
month.
So much fidelity. Yes.
I couldn't believe it. I was just like, what? I watched Dune like with streaming. We're going to watch that Blu-ray. It's different. The quality is disgusting. Asa told me like 5 years ago. And I'm like, what?
But it also takes you going to find your Blu-ray disc, putting it in the drive, hitting that button, then let that analog thing come out. We know you new school cats just want to play. So those are benefits, the cost benefit analysis you must do, right? Same thing with consoles and PCs. You know, you'll deal with the drivers and this and that, but ultimately you'll get a fidelity experience, a high level experience you can't find anywhere else. But if you're tired of all that, you come home from work, you don't want to deal with all the BS, you just want to sit down and play and immediately get to your game, we have a thing for you. It's a console.
Yeah. And I'm there now.
I have no issue with people playing wherever they want to play. I just want you to understand what you're getting into and not taking a Honda Civic and saying, why is my Tesla not so fast? I'm sorry.
Source. Good. Well said. Well said. Absolutely. Huggy. PlayStation, Xbox. I knew the grin was coming. What is your? I don't know what your position here.
Oh, you didn't watch the rant that I had on RDX. Okay, so
I did.
I'm more with what you're saying, guys. Essentially, the Kumbaya stuff that went out the window when Sony came in and said, "Fuck you, Xbox, you're not buying ABK." Right? And when that shit happens, you need to recognize they don't give a shit and they're gonna come after you. And so it's time for the kumbaya to go away. And you need to actually compete. I understand their vision; they want to go somewhere else. Fair enough. The mobile stuff is absolutely where things are going to go at some point. I don't know if console will stay after 15, 20 years, whatever it is, right? There'll be console for a while, but eventually it'll switch. But first, cloud is fucking useless. Just get rid of it. There's no market for it. Get rid of that stupid shit. Stop investing, wasting money on that. The cloud gaming stuff just isn't going anywhere. And put that money into getting freaking exclusivity deals. First thing was Indiana Jones. You own that IP, right? You own that game, right? So the question is, can you get that to be exclusive or not? And we've always just been wishy-washy. I said, no, fuck it. I require it to be exclusive. Go make the check happen. I don't care, whatever it takes. Talk to Disney.
Breach a contract?
I don't know if it is a contract. I don't know if it is a contract.
None of us do. None of us.
We never saw any platforms. I'm just saying, I don't care. I want it to be exclusive, period. Make it exclusive, right? So if that requires a check to Disney, fucking write the check, right? And get it done.
Yes. Love
I
it.
just want you have to start talking in those terms, right? And all right, then you take something like Splinter Cell, which has had an association with Xbox.
Yeah.
Go get the bloody game. Go get the exclusivity. Put it in Game Pass. Just do it. Why not? Like, you have the association. Make sure that game has like all the tech that needs to run on the Series X and S. Right? Go send your people there. Get it done. Like, make sure, and then like put that in Game Pass. Make it day and date and exclusive. I don't care if it's time, whatever, but it's got to happen, right? You have to. Like, at this point, I'm just going to tell them.
I think the problem that Microsoft has a bit is they need someone like you dealing with the issues of console like you would deal with them while they're off also doing the other things they're doing.
100%. That's the problem, right?
They're not walking and chewing gum at the same time. Like
in today's world, Sony is the leader, and they are directing where things are going. And if Microsoft walks away, Nintendo has already done so, right? Who's going to compete with them? Who's telling Sony, you got to do better? And if nobody does that, then the whole market is run away with whatever Sony wants. That's not a good place for anybody, including PlayStation players, because then there's nothing pushing them to make something better, right? So, no, we need Microsoft to go after them right now. Unless you want to tell me somebody else is going to do it, who is that? Like, just tell me who that is. Because right now, the only competitor that Sony sees, because I saw all their declarations, is Xbox. And if Xbox says, we don't care about that, we're going over here. No. I don't care. You do have to deal with this. You have to compete with Sony today, right? I get you want to do future stuff, and that's all great. And you're Microsoft, and you can invest for future stuff. You made $18 billion in profit in the last 3 months. I think you can invest a couple of billion in what the future stuff is. That's great. But today, you got to market against Sony. You got to compete against Sony and do whatever Sony does, or come up with something better, like Asante was saying, that's going to destroy the Sony narrative and make it work. Right? One way or the other, I want to see the competition, which we're not seeing. So if you're not going to do something different and show me what happens, then I'm going to tell you got to do what Sony's doing. Go get the games. I want Wonder Woman. Fucking make it an exclusive. I don't care. Do it.
Wonder Woman.
Get it. Marketing rights for GTA 6. You need to go get it. Get the marketing rights for GTA 6. Make sure your Rockstar gets the people that you have to help them make
exclusive. Watch Colin Moriarty cry. Cry, Moriarty, cry.
Like stuff like that. Like, why aren't they doing this?
I like your energy. I like your energy, but I have concerns for. Thing is, like, if Microsoft ditch cloud, as you say, and I think there's a massive conversation around whether cloud has value going forwards or not, that Microsoft are learning the hard way at the moment. Yeah, well, it is. It's a difficult thing to reconcile right now. The concern that I have is that if cloud is not the future of gaming, and console maybe is relevant for a while, I don't think Microsoft necessarily stay in that game at all. So
in console or in
console, if they can't expand into cloud and or mobile, if they can't go into cloud and or mobile, I don't think they exist anymore.
You think Microsoft will walk away?
They were going to, weren't they?
Yeah. So you think part of Phil Spencer's speech was cloud?
His pitch was absolutely expanding beyond console. There's not like shadow of a doubt.
I backed the wrong horse.
basically it's going to mobile, right? Because eventually, look, the ROG Ally is a mobile device, right? And that thing will run pretty much every AAA game at a pretty good rate. That's just a reality, right? That's the first of a very large set of mobiles that will be coming, right? Your phones are getting to that level of power now, right? Let alone 5 years, 10 years from now, right? So both the iOS and the Androids are getting a lot of local horsepower, right? Eventually, that will also filter into the TVs. So what I think he's right. Mobile is the end future. I just don't know when that is, right? So the device is going to be the thing. You don't need a bespoke console. At some point, the device will have enough oomph to just run your games. You just need to have a store access, right? Part of the whole thing that they're trying to do is get to a store that's mobile, right? This is the vision. That's fair, but that's 15 years out. That's not today, right? So today they have a console, and that's what's competing in this space. You have PC, console. That's the big area for gaming right now, right? Mobile is where most of the money is, right? Because there's a lot of microtransactions there, but they're not the large AAA games, right? And that will change. That will start to change over the next 10 years. AAA games will go to mobile. That will happen, right? But the question is when, right? And at that point, you don't need a console because the bloody game is anywhere you want it, right? Because the TV has a mobile processor, your phone has a mobile processor, your ROG Allies and equivalents will have that processor. It's not going to need to be... The whole idea of cloud was to give it to down-level devices, but down-level devices will have so much power it doesn't matter. There would be no point to have cloud.
Hargeet,
and that's where
what kind of ruins your argument a bit is these other initiatives that are now happening because cloud is upon us, where you can have games that are so big and so powerful and so scalable that no one device can run it, and you access it by tapping into said cloud. Right. And if you're saying that, and we haven't really seen those games mature yet.
That's the problem.
There are some, but we haven't seen them mature yet. But to stop the cloud innovation would be to stop the innovation of those potential games.
I understand what you're saying, but that is what what's his name, Kojima's trying to do, right? Is the game itself leverages the cloud. That doesn't mean the game doesn't run.
No,
it runs locally, but it leverages the cloud.
But you have to understand, the reason why you have to do it in a cloud way is because, as it has been said many times, GPUs are scalable, CPUs are not. So because we develop in that way right now, where GPUs are scalable, CPUs are not, you always hit the benchmark of what CPU am I using, and then you scale GPUs up and down based on it. If you live in a cloud, relevant. Well, but my point is, if you live in a cloud, if you start building based off of a cloud perspective, that means you don't have to worry about what hardware the individual is using, because it can scale exponentially beyond any hardware that one individual is using, right?
There's a lot more to that.
It will stop that kind of gaming from ever happening if we negate the idea of a cloud middle ground.
No, because you can still run the elements you need to run locally and say that the rest of the processing is up there, right? Because ultimately you're talking about a game that's got some cloud level instance that's running the service of that game, right?
Yeah.
And that happens today. So that service can continue to be more and more useful up in the cloud. Fair enough, right? But the actual game is running locally, and it's getting that information from the cloud as it needs it. Right. Ultimately, I just disagree with the assertion that the game has to be run in the cloud. The cloud running a game is a terrible idea to begin with.
Those
because
are the pieces
the input lag is so
you're
horrible.
missing. I think, Hargeet. Not everything can translate. Like, you are 100% right. You know, the argument of the Crackdown 3 dream, where it will run locally, but when it's net connected, then all of a sudden it will use that hardware to exponentially grow the scale of it. 100% true. And if you're not connected to the net, it's playing the base game.
It comes back
not
to normal,
everything can do that, right? In the Crackdown example, they were scaling what could be scaled, and were doing that based on what's available to you, your network bandwidth, all of that. I'm saying complexity in CPU cannot be scaled that way. So all those really, really high level computations get done there, and then they share what the outcome is to you via your device. Right?
But you're talking a wholly cloud-based game being...
Yes.
That's very speculative.
That's different. No, but that's what we're talking about with. That's what we're talking about with games like Super Games that Sega is talking about. Games like with what's his name? What Kojima's talking about. Games that have so much of a high level of computational requirements that no handheld or console or even PC that costs $4,000 can play it by itself.
But the game is still going to run locally, so it doesn't really matter because all of that can still be done that way, anyways, right? There's a difference between the elements where you're controlling a character versus what's happening in the world around you, right? And that is what would be cloud stream, but it wouldn't even be cloud stream. It would just be data to you, right? But so that is totally viable, right? I don't see any issue with that going forward, barring the cost of that, right? What you're talking about is expensive as hell, right?
Yes,
for that game to exist. Is expensive as hell.
Well, but that's the reason. It would have to land that's the reason for Azure, right? That's the reason for Azure. That's the reason why everybody's talking about.
That could be anywhere. It doesn't matter. It could be AWS.
Finally found the solution
Google,
because
it could be Tencent.
It needs that kind of a scale of infrastructure. Exactly.
You're right, but there's other people who have that scale.
The only point I'm making is, in the world where we're saying, hey, let's not snuff out innovation before it gets started. There are inklings now with ChatGPT and all the AI-driven this and AI-driven that. There are inklings now where you can do all of your number crunching, all of your high resource using stuff in that cloud, and then just share the outcome, the output with the user on a potato-like device.
But what's wrong with that? I'm still not getting the difference. The game can still run locally.
Rather than arguing in circles, though, just to kind of move it forwards. The stuff that you two were talking about is for me, the most exciting part of Microsoft being in the gaming space is that they do have that infrastructure and that know-how, and in theory, they should be able to deliver games that we haven't played before. And this cloud-native initiatives that they're going with Kojima, and they've got their own internal studio to partner with all these different people to run these cloud native games, to take advantage of ChatGPT and Azure and all the rest of it, and deliver living, breathing worlds that we haven't seen in games before. That is the best part of Microsoft, in terms of potential. This is where I want them to go, what I want them to deliver, and why I want them to stay in the space. My concern, really, when you were talking about you want them to throw lots of money into competing in the console space. And I'm just not convinced that Microsoft have any appetite to compete in the console space, because that is, as far as they are concerned, a small pie.
It's over. And at that point, they might as well just become a third-party publisher and forget it.
Or walk away from games entirely. Like Microsoft and Microsoft, they were not that long ago talking about getting rid of Xbox entirely, spinning them off into their own thing, because Microsoft,
which is
their
where it would be.
appetite is
if
on a
there's
tightrope.
no point, then what are you going to get out of it? And cloud you're conflating cloud capability, which is already in use, by the way. A lot of games use cloud. You can't play Call of Duty without cloud. It's there,
cloud,
right?
Of course, yes.
Right, and that already exists, and you can do more and more computation if you want to, if the game can afford it. I'm saying your ability to run the game should not be dependent on cloud. Your ability to run the game should be local on the device, and that is what xCloud was supposed to be giving you, right? You stream the game, and input is there all the way back to the cloud to actually do the actions.
It's the distinction. So a lot of people do struggle. I find this a lot when I talk about Microsoft and I say that their exciting thing is the cloud native stuff. A lot of people immediately jump to cloud streaming, essentially like Google Stadia style, stream a game to the box, to Netflix style, and that is not what Huggy's talking about. And I agree. Like the merit of the technology is like computing in general always goes to this centralized model and then disperse it, and it goes around in a cycle forever. And consoles are kind of going through that at the moment. Exactly. And the gaming space has seen this vision of streaming games directly, but that isn't necessarily the way as hardware that you could have. From Microsoft's perspective, they're like, we can run this game, or you could run it on your own hardware with your own electricity and your own bandwidth.
Asa, you uniquely are qualified to understand what I'm saying here. While I agree with you all that where we are today, it's all a choice and it shouldn't have to necessarily be a mandate, because by and large, we can make those choices to run them natively because they work right now, right? A quick example, in the VR space, for example, even though you can by and large run the stuff on your face, right? And it works, Meta being the proof it can, right? It still has a lot of costs there. So in that example, the paradigm that you want, the golden image you want, is for them to focus solely on the optics and have the entire thing streamed to your face with zero latency, right? Being that in this scenario, it would be the entire game is there and streamed to your screen.
What would be zero latency?
Well, but that's sub 7 millimeters is as low as you're going to get today, and they could continue iterating on that to make sure that it gets to very low
sub
level.
7 milliseconds, right? So if I'm going to go with this cloud model and say I live in, I don't know, Utah, how far is the data center that I'm going to hit?
Yeah,
it's in Utah, beside your house.
You're using today's
problem,
arguments.
right?
Obviously, that's today's arguments.
But
today's argument.
Those arguments will never change because there's zero incentive for anybody to create a data center unless there's enough commerce in that area for it to justify the data center. This is why Africa has one bloody data center. There's just not enough commerce. That's the way it is.
So we have established that Hargeet loves cloud gaming so much that he has moved house to live beside a data center. Microsoft have got exclusive Wonder Woman for his benefit. What's next?
I think the entirety of it is a worthless thing to go after. Streaming from cloud is worthless. And there's just no segment where it makes sense. I fully agree with using cloud to make games better. Fair enough. That certainly could continue. There's just no reason for this whole streaming xCloud stupidity. It should just go away. I don't see the point of wasting Series X consoles, putting it into a cloud data center just so you can play games in the cloud. Why? Again, there's just no value. And somebody will tell me, but I get to try the game before I download it. That's a very expensive thing for Microsoft to do, so you have a minor convenience. It's just not worth it. Billions of dollars versus just don't do it and put that towards games. My preference, put it towards games. I don't care about the stupid cloud. I've never heard anybody say, I'm ditching my console, I'm ditching my PC, I'm going to cloud. Please find me the person that says that. I'm going to play Call of Duty. Cloud
but that person won't play Call of Duty.
Like, seriously?
Yeah.
Hypothetically, though, if you go that route and you want to play devil's advocate, a lot of people did make that same decision and start watching things on Netflix rather than downloading them and watching them locally. So there might be an audience for this.
You know that they're drastically different. You don't care about latency there. 10 seconds behind. Who cares? It could be 10 minutes behind. It doesn't matter.
I think
you can watch live sports 3
here-
minutes behind.
You're only speaking to gamers like yourself, which your assertions there are 100% valid. Let me be clear, 100% valid. But there are more gamers than you, and
that play what?
Oh, bro, I know people who play solely cloud, and they use like cloud devices to do it.
And how far are they from their data center?
They're happy as clams to do.
How far are they from their data center?
Oh, come on now. That's a subjective question.
It makes a difference, right?
It does.
If you're in Washington, D.C. and you do this,
let me be clear, though.
You're a millisecond away.
In today's world, that is the case. But in tomorrow's world, yesterday's world, what you're describing right now, in the on live world, this wasn't possible. They tried, they failed, they were sold, right?
Yep.
Today, this works. Tomorrow, that latency will be circumvented by a different method. Even if it's not, I can tell you.
Tell me how.
Either if we don't have to set up different data centers all over the place, a millimeter wave 5G can do that if they go that route. But it has to be millimeter wave, not that bullshit.
You still have to travel from point A to point B.
Of course, to point B.
And we do that at the speed of light.
And we do that at the speed of light. Matters there.
But the speed of light is the max we can ever conceive. So unless you can come up with new physics, we don't have the ability to go faster than that. So that latency is there. So the other option is you say, I'll play the game for you, right? I'll use AI, and There's also satellites that you can use.
Like, what are we talking about here? You can use satellite location. I'm not talking satellite ISPs. I'm talking, you can have a main data center. You can use satellite locations that bounce. There's a lot there.
And
you can do a lot.
There's the really important, the really important side question that hasn't been answered yet by the industry that's still being figured out is you take, whether it be cloud, whether it be these native solutions built into your TV, whatever else it may be, whatever delivery mechanism they come up with to get these games out to people, there's still a really big question on whether the, for example, Call of Duty audience is actually bigger than the audience that are willing to play on console. And that's something that the industry hasn't figured out yet.
And that is the reason why what you're describing there, that is the reason why you will always see records and record players. They get smaller as far as a fan base, but they will exist forever. right? Just like there'll always be a Netflix audience, while I still will put in my Blu-ray to watch my Matrix. There will always be that audience, and the growth and the how
There
much
is no
of it
growth.
is
I'm just
there.
telling you outright. Cloud is a dead technology. Nobody's going to. Google didn't fall out of this because they're dumb. They spent billions doing this and said there's just no market. It is what it is, right? It is what it is.
I do.
It's just not going to win. It's just
we'll find out, or we will die before we find out.
We will see.
We will see.
Because
I'm leaning to
sometimes $2 trillion companies are making that bet that you're saying is ridiculous. Both Amazon and Microsoft.
No, Amazon is thankfully doing what they can correctly, right? They're saying this data centers here will give you in this market. Stadia did the same thing, by the way. They limited what markets you're in because they knew it would not scale.
But there are still right now.
Real quick, just like. Before, I would love to move on from this because it is just going around in circles. But Hagi in particular, because you are like quite against cloud technology, have you tried GeForce Now?
I can try it, I guess.
No, I'm only asking because currently,
Game Pass in almost every way. Yes.
Currently today, that's like the best experience that you can get streaming. So in terms of whether you believe in the technology or not, like. Try it. I haven't, so I don't know. You might try it and find it's a terrible experience, but I've heard good things about it.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
So all of you are ditching your PCs. All of you are ditching your consoles.
We haven't even tried it. We haven't tried it.
Exactly. But I have tried it, and I still tell you I like local experiences. My point is, options have always been available and will continue.
And I'm telling you, the options will be so much better in the future with your local hardware that there's no point.
There is a lot of cross-purposes talk. I'm kind of siding with Hagi. Hagi's view is cloud is going to be redundant because mobile development is going to be so strong. I also think we got conflated. I don't see this wholesale cloud experience then just being beaming by cloud. I think what we will see is local experiences enhanced using power of the cloud.
I 100% agree with that.
This is what Kojima's working
with.
My
last anecdotal argument to this is right now, if you want to experience a 4090, but most of you may not be able to go buy that $2,000 graphics card. But if you sign up for $699, you can experience that using GeForce Now. Today.
You'll experience the visuals. You will not experience the latency. But okay.
But that's my point. My point is allowing those segments to grow gives more options to folks. Please go ahead.
Follow up. Yes? Just because it like ties back nicely to earlier on. I reckon GeForce Now on the 4080 tier will give you a higher fidelity, better experience than Zelda on the Switch.
That is a very easy bet that I think I can make with you, that you're right.
Lower latency,
the visual fidelity is there.
Input latency, I reckon, will be better.
Where you are.
Yep.
Lower latency. So I'm using for science, Google Stadia when it released claimed and measured lower latency than the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. GeForce Now is the best cloud streaming at the moment. I reckon probably lower latency than the game that you love on the Switch.
Depends on where you are.
Local hardware. Really?
Yeah.
That kills the argument, then. That
doesn't kill the argument.
Because they're full of shit. Okay, if I'm literally in the middle of Africa, you're telling me I have better latency than a local hardware? You're out of your mind. Just stop.
That's not what I'm telling you. It's also that's a weird thing.
But that's also a bad argument to make because as a guy who's been to Africa, they're not in that market, and that's the reason why you can't use that market to make that argument. If they are in that market, then they're expected to adhere to the standard.
So you're talking about the
U.S.
US
and go someplace else
or the UK, where people are so poor they can't buy a console. Come on. Dude, everybody's running around with $500, $1,000 freaking phones. You're
not thinking beyond yourself.
There's no point.
Some of us are capable, but not everyone has the ability like that. Some people benefit and thrive off of these services.
For 5 years.
All you guys are crying. None of you have tried DMT. You know nothing. Let me read these super chats, please. Look, it can go back and forth for a while.
No,
we could have stopped this 15 minutes ago.
Go ahead. I enjoy the tech talk. Go ahead. No, please. Go ahead.
No, it's good. It's good to get strong opinions. I don't know where I am at. A lot of it's speculative. I don't know.
It lives for
Shout out to Africa. But come on, man. The African argument is a bit weird, man, because it's like you're not even in the space.
Are there people living there? What if I'm in the middle of India? Does that count? It's 1 billion people. Does that count?
Okay.
I guess it doesn't.
No, gaming in Africa is
cloud gaming has no future because some parts of the world aren't geared up for
Some parts of the world? Dude.
No,
I just gave
so
you a
if-
billion
this
people
is-
live in
this is
India,
your
and
argument,
that's
right?
some part of the world.
Okay, India.
If they
fine.
open,
Let's go
if
with
they
India.
open that service to that part of the world and then it doesn't work, you have an argument. But they have not opened it to that part of the world because the infrastructure is not laid correctly there yet. So you
Listen,
can't
Better
take
internet,
something that's geared
5G
only.
than we do, and whatever. right?
Sure,
this whole
but
thing
no,
is just
and I'm not
crap.
denying
I'm
that.
telling you
I'm not
outright, it's crap.
denying that. I am not
Jets.
denying that some places have better
Let's
connections
move on.
than America does.
Jets, please.
All
I
I'm
know.
saying is, until
Seriously.
they have established and offer that service to you, you can't just say it's crap because it hasn't been offered.
I can 100%. I can, and I'm telling you outright to your face, it's crap. I don't care. It's crap. It's crap.
You haven't tried it.
Sorry, it's crap.
You haven't tried it, but it's crap. Okay.
I've tried XCloud. It is crap. Sorry, it's crap.
You've
I
tried the
don't care.
third
And I'm in
service
Boston.
out of all three
I'm
that are
probably 20
considered
milliseconds
the
from the
lowest
data
one.
center.
It's crap.
It's crap.
Okay.
It's crap.
Understood.
And that's
right.
what I was saying about Zelda.
Fair enough.
Oh shit, man. Will be fun if we're all alive. One of us is gonna say, see, I told you so. And me and Asa are just gonna be sitting here and just laughing in the source. Cause it's bro, I'm not saying either one of you have bad points. It's speculative. It is looking to the future. And you have a strong view saying it's shit, cut it off. It's just a strong view. So obviously it's open to
It is.
like counters and critique and critical analysis.
See, and the funny thing is, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying he's not definitively right.
Yeah. That's fine because Hoggy has boldly taken a definitive stance. So and rated that he still backs it. It's strong. Hey, fine, fair enough. Everyone knows Halo should have been delayed. Let me read these super chats.
Yep.
Biggities 08. Gaz with the $5. Thank you with the $5 super thanks. Gaz, it's Xbox fanboys, not fans. Make sure you separate the two when he's talking about timed exclusivity. I disagree. I think Xbox fans, like even the masses, if you go to PlayStation, this is the real world. I talked to my mate. Why did you buy a PlayStation? He plays FIFA and COD. It's like, isn't that where all the good games are? I'm like, mate, you play these two games. They don't give a shit. They don't give a damn about the crocodile tears. Oh, it's immoral. You think they care? I'm like, all right, they're going to buy that game exclusive, right? I'm going to buy it. So let them leverage the, proposition of this console. Let them do the box. And that is me and Hagi just forcing Microsoft, despite its vision, like Microsoft says, like Acer saying, it's cloud-based and all of that. We are centering it on the box because me and Hoggy believe in the box, the value of that nucleus. But Face 23 Brooklyn, New York. Will Xbox have a Zelda the Tears of the Kingdom moment this year? Will PlayStation have it? Face? If you say Spider-Man, you can suck. No, don't suck anything. But it will have, in my opinion, the better exclusive is Starfield. Yeah? Does that answer your question, Face? Biggity with a $2 super chat. Sound like Hoggy is about to become a pony. Well, Hoggy doesn't like those movie games. So it's just, he likes the model. Hoggy, do you like the model, the PlayStation model?
No, I like
the console. You like Game Pass?
It's what is available today, right? So Microsoft has to focus on their current competition, or they just won't do anything, and that's the problem, right? So if they want to continue, like Asa was saying, they could just drop the entire thing, and this could be a problem for them because if they don't compete, well, Sony's just going to keep taking the world. That's it. That's the way it is, right? Somebody has to push back. So it's good that they create a Game Pass. It's good that they have a vision for mobile. That's fine, but you have to compete today. And today, Sony is the competition. So they have to compete with them. They have to do something to make it happen. And like, it's not they had the clear point of like, this is your vision. Great. Show me how it competes with Sony. Or you're not doing enough, right? So you have to do that. They have to go.
Absolutely. So, even in the short term, Biggity, I see you say put up or shut up. And if it is in the short term, you need to resort to this gutter tactic that your market leader cohort in acquaintance is doing, then do it until you fix up everything else. Because priority number one should be us, and we don't feel like priority number one. So go hard. That's what we're saying.
Exactly.
Go hard. Like Santi said, if you believe in your vision, you're not showing it, then supplement it or something. It's back to Tomb Raider all over again. Fuck.
Yep.
Didn't think I would have this conversation after bearing through failure last gen, but Xbox is Xbox, mother. Shout out to Danny Passion Official with a $5 super chat. Hoggy explains why it has to be Microsoft. Also, don't forget that the console market isn't growing anymore. Cloud gaming is the future. I'm skipping that, Danny. Do not. Fuck you. I'm not even. Or you know now what the view is of Hoggy. I'm just, whatever. I agree with Hoggy partially, actually. I don't know Cloud will actually go that way. But I do believe in it. We've had people from like Brazil and stuff on the chat say that they do experience games in cloud-based stuff. It is opening the barriers, but like I said to Asa, when you asked that question, I was like, the internet adoption speeds and the global rollout, I think it's going to be a big stumbling block because it's really slow. And I think by the time it rolls out, you might find that the big player like Microsoft actually loses faith in it because it's not there. And that's where Microsoft pulls out from the console space, and I just leave the internet because the ponies have won. Fuck it. I'm not joining you shits. You guys are the worst community in the world. Splendiferous. Splendiferous with a $2 super chat. Hoggy getting gangster with it right now, son. Done. Shout out Splendiferous Wagwan G. I hope you're good and enjoying the sauce. We always deliver it. Pickety 08. Hoggy, you're saying exactly the opposite of what Phil Spencer said in the interview. It's not about console sales, bro. It's about cloud. Bro, how did that work out for him? Yeah, Biggity, how did that statement
say cloud?
He didn't say
he said
cloud.
We have a different vision. He said we have a different vision. We're not doing what the blue people are doing. Yeah, that's what he said. Never said cloud. By the way, in his disclosures to the regulators, he told them the cloud isn't working. So I'm not the one alone saying this. He said that. All right? It is what it is. You have to accept reality. It didn't work.
And Phil Spencer's silver tongue doesn't stop there because some people, rabid PlayStation fanboys, but well done for finding it because here, Team Xbox, we love it when you expose the truth. Phil Spencer had the polar opposite of what he said there. He was like, we want to be number one in this space. But here he was a defeated man saying, we're going to be number three. I'm sorry. You were Giant Bomb. There was a Giant Bomb interview. You were very different. Your balls were gold and freaking brass, diamond, platinum. And you're like, oh. And he came back a defeated man. He was like, we don't want to do that. Why would you ever say that? So Phil Spencer's statements so far haven't aged well. Great guy, I'm sure. But I'm just sick and tired of holding this man up as the best video on this channel is Phil Spencer saved Xbox, which is true. But ultimately futile if Xbox doesn't deliver. And this year, every year is fuck. Enigmatic Dreams with a $5 super chat. I live in Chicago with my sister. What? No, I read that wrong. I live in Chicago.
Where are you going?
Space.
Where is this going?
Go ahead.
I live in Chicago. My sister is 2 hours away. Sorry, I don't know. You can't live with your sister. What's wrong with that? But it just sounded weird. I live in Chicago. My sister is 2 hours away. Her only option is 10 MB per second. The US doesn't have the infrastructure for cloud. It will take years. And I agree with you. It's just going to take ages. It is going to take. There's other regions in the world you're not going to. But we're looking in the future. We're looking at Blade Runner. We're looking at AI, and everything is changing. You never know. Or it could be a solar flare. I keep telling you guys about the solar flare. Sound like Alex, what's his name? The weird guy in America. Jones. Alex Jones. Yeah. Solar flares. I'm telling you, hard reset. We're talking about all these Xbox shit.
Sad thing is, a lot of times he's freaking right, which is sad. It's just sad. The guy comes up with all sorts of wacky theories, and I'm like, what the fuck? Is that really? That's really true? Oh, shit.
Did he? Okay. I thought he was a freaking psychopath who believes in like reptilians.
What the heck are you talking about? And then it's like, well, fucking he's right.
Oh shit! I don't thankfully watch that guy, but he believes in reptilians. Danny Passion Official with a $2 super chat. Why does it have to be Microsoft, the one who needs to compete with Sony? What do you mean, bro? Who else is doing it? No one else is doing it. This is the Hoggeat's point.
Who?
If Xbox fucks up, and believe me, I've said it before, like this year is so critical. The appetite might go away. The cloud, Acer, if it's hanging on cloud, what you're saying, and the deal gets blocked.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I was saying be careful what you wish for, because if they are not going to expand it either in cloud and or mobile, if they can't expand beyond the console base, I don't know that Microsoft stay in it.
Yeah, but if the ABK deal gets cancelled, there's a big chance Microsoft walks away, no? They've got
there's a
punch on the
real
mobile
chance. I don't know about a
king.
big chance, but like as we've gone round and established, they're struggling with cloud. We don't know how their inroads into the mobile space are going to work out, and I do think these are the things that Xbox was saved on this basis. So,
yeah, mobile.
I hate the fact that Xbox is saved on this basis.
Yeah.
Oh man, I get Phil Spencer had to do it. He had to save the brand, and he did, and he pitched the cloud and the global billion mobile market. But I want them to go back. I want to go to the nucleus, as I call it, as wrong as I may be. I want them to console. You did it right with a Xbox Classic. You did it right with a 360. Fucking was sick, people. That you got the Trojan horse into the living room, you piece of shit. That's right, Phil Spencer. All of you guys, you used us. You got it there. Hold on to the console crowd. Just do it. Do it.
I don't know if this is a good question or not, actually. If like this hypothetical plays out and Microsoft say, right, cloud's not working out, PC's all right, but like most people like Steam more. Mobile, we've been blocked out. We can't break the Google and Apple duopoly or whatever. If this hypothetical happens and they spun off Xbox and Xbox existed without Microsoft, would you still like Xbox, or do you like them because they got all that money to roll around in? You think it would die?
I think it would die. Who's going to buy it? Who's going to buy Xbox?
Good question.
I mean, like, it needs the leader in the vision. Who's there? Like, okay, let me say.
So let's hypothetical on that though. In terms of buying it though, like if Xbox is currently running at a profit, as they say, then it doesn't necessarily need to be bought, right? You could spin it off and it could function as Xbox if it's profitable.
Yeah.
Would we still love them, or do we love them because they've got that $69 billion backing? And
fuck it. The 69 billion
I don't
backing
think it's because of the money. I think it's because at some point they were hitting their stride, and people backed them because they saw that they were a potential real platform that compete in this space. And to the point of who will buy them, Amazon.
They wouldn't sell to Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, even
Amazon. And the potential for the FTC to allow that to happen. Dude.
I will always say the thing
it'd be Amazon getting into a market that they're not in right now. That's neither here nor there.
They're in gaming. They're in gaming. Plus, the FTC
not in
hates
hardware platform making hardware. But that's neither here. I'm assuming this hypothetical situation is where Xbox is just the hardware division and the development studios.
You'd get exactly the entire Xbox.
Right? Yeah,
I never backed Xbox because of the money or Microsoft. In fact, Microsoft Association got my dick a bit flaccid every time I thought about it. It was Xbox was
they
always
were liked in spite of
problem.
Microsoft. Yes, for a long time they were liked in spite of Xbox. Actually,
I mean Microsoft.
Some arguments can be made that some arguments can be made that since Microsoft put their arm around them, the pedigree of the zeitgeist of what people's thoughts of them have come down considerably. Back when they were the Skunkworks project in the back room, they were loved even more.
So might there be a brighter future where they were spun off?
No realistic thing, but
potentially depends on who's heading it and if they focus on the console market. If Microsoft walks away and I get my dream team, James Allard and me, and over there just sitting there focusing on games, this console tiny segment of the market that Phil Spencer didn't mention to Satya Nadella when he was like trying to sell this vision, I would 100%. I'm back insular console model, only because that's what we like. That's what we are. That's the playing field. I don't care about Microsoft's visions for cloud. I think it's a weakness. I think I'm with Hagi. I feel like it's a distraction. If you remove, in very simple terms, it's PlayStation, Nintendo, and who else? If Sega came back and delivered what Microsoft is, and I would fuck Xbox out of the way. I want a competitor in this space more than I don't give a shit about Microsoft and Xbox. If Xbox, I'll tell you right now, if Sega came in right now, I'll chuck Xbox out of the way if they had a serious intent with some great vision. Because without them, it's just going to be PlayStation. I would back Sega 100% over Xbox that has failed so many times. And that's the thing. People are like, they've got this, like, you might find it funny coming from me with brand loyalty with Xbox. But what is Xbox? That's the thing. That's the vision. That's my frustration.
Like, what is it separate from Microsoft is I think, like, quite an interesting point around the Xbox division and how they sit in that company and all the rest of it in general. Like, what it is that makes you love them so much.
It's there's a multitude of things. It's because of the Sega. Like, I loved Sega. I love the Dreamcast. I love the PC. It was the marrying of the two. When id Software became part of the Xbox staple, I couldn't believe it's too good to be true.
A rhetorical
All that
question.
DNA. I know, but I wanted to answer that because I just want to kind of like, why it is a good question to like, what is it about these platforms that we really like? But I'm holding on to an Xbox.
It's the same as separating Sony from PlayStation, right? If you remove the Hollywood elements of Sony from PlayStation, that thing can't survive. They've leveraged the Hollywood side of Sony.
Which is cooler, actually.
To infuse that into the gaming side, and that's what their best foot forward, right? Whereas on Xbox, Microsoft has finally learned that leveraging their DNA as a tech company, even though that doesn't necessarily translate into games as well as they'd want it to, but it does translate into services and all the other extra things surrounding the console that people seem to like. So they're each bringing what they do best to their console imprint, and I honestly think that without each of that, each of them would fall flat. You know,
only
they had that Nintendo
vision.
would succeed because they've always just been gaming and gaming alone. You know,
and they had that unique flavors as a result of that DNA and association with their parent company. Yeah, absolutely, and it's quite good to see.
So the thing that brings me to Xbox is co-op, right? So when I first played Halo, right, it changed the world for me as far as I can play this campaign with my friend and the game flows and feels good in the controller, right? So it's Halo that did it, and they've continued that path with many of their games. Gears is co-op, and they added co-op to Fable, etc. So like they continue that path, right? And as long as they keep doing that, I can play the experience grounded. I can play with my friends, right? Even Redfall, they tried to do it, just failed, but whatever. But you know, the idea that is the box. It's the dude bro shooter box, but it's because you can play with your friends. That's the whole point, right?
Yes.
So as in Sony, who decides they really want to have that single player narrative experience thing, and that's fine. That's their DNA, right? Found whatever more to the movie style of thing, right? That's fine. But you know, that's what Xbox brings to the table. Nintendo brings those ridiculously awesome franchises, and that's fair. So they have Pokemon, and that sells like ridiculous, and then Zelda and Mario, and that gives you their premier franchises, right? So they have their own niche, but that's what Xbox is to me. It's that
I would say Hardy, that the dude bro moniker has kind of changed a bit on the Xbox side.
It has.
They're trying to be more
not for the best.
We are a variety shop of different things. You know,
master of all trades. Jack of all trades, master of none.
Master of none. Sure, and that's the problem, right? And that's when Halo came out. Well, Joe Satan came out and said, we're not going to have co-op at launch. And like, those words should never have been said. What are you talking about?
Do you mean? You get it. I mean, you get it. That's the.
What are you saying?
That was a god punch. Like this, you hit the nail on the head there. It goes back to the console identity. Why I loved it. Why was I PC game? Why was I Quake player? Because I liked online. Who pushed it? Microsoft with the network.
I think that's
Killer
where you guys. That's where you guys are different than what they're thinking. And I'm not saying I agree or disagree with that.
No, I know.
It looks like it looks like they have stopped looking at the console as an identity and have started looking at it as an entry point into the platform.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
That's the shift,
all these people,
right?
that's the shift. So when Xbox guys on these Xbox centric podcasters say that we've grifted away, and we're like, no, you were never there. You were never there to the true vision of what Xbox was and what we saw it grow and why we associated our valuable time and loyalty to this box. Microsoft is forsaking that. We are trying to remind them.
And
so when Phil Spencer comes out apologizing
about that, though, right? You should be happy because Phil basically said he hears you, Xbox guys.
That's
and we're not forsaking you, is what he said.
Thank you. Whether or not I believe him is a different matter entirely, but I loved it.
Because they say it all the time.
They say it all the time.
I want to see it.
It's like a tampon hitting you in the face versus Mike Tyson doing a freaking uppercut. Right now, I don't feel anything. It's just like bounces off. The apology tour is almost routine. But that I wanted to see that. I was happy to see him struggle. And I said this last week, but not because I'm a dick. It's because there's a tiny chance when he says, I can see it. I can see it. I can't see what you are seeing. That's why I'm saying go hard on the showcase so we can see what the fuck you keep saying you are seeing. Show us. Because if you don't believe in that, Xbox can fuck off this place. Because we put you here. So you can suck my and get out. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we've had a very long... Fuck the ROG Ally. No one gives a shit. It's too late. I'm sorry. We were going to talk about it, but we talk about ROG. It'd be bad not to. ROG Ally. Is it going to be a credible threat to the Steam Deck? Go.
Asante, go ahead.
Go.
I'm not sure yet. I did buy one, but that's because what would you expect? You're talking to me. I, of course, bought one, but I will tell you that the problems that I had when I initially saw it, some of them have been resolved by seeing more information and reviews and people putting hands on it and giving their remarks on it. But others are still hot and heavy and are even getting worse. So those who are like, oh, I wanted to be Steam Deck gang, but I want to do it on Windows, but now this will be that. I think you might be in for a rude awakening. Like, this might not be the simple, hey, now this is my Xbox on PC that I wanted, my mobile Xbox. It might not be all that, but they are doing things that I think is interesting and may have solved some problems on the Windows side that we've been looking for solutions for. Valve has no incentive to solve that because then it helps you play games outside of their ecosystem. So why would they do that? So, Asus solving those problems is good for me. I think it's a good idea, but I'm still kind of looking at them with a side eye because the company as a company themselves, I'm kind of dubious of because there are other things where they're embroiled in controversy even today, right? And we'll see what happens when this thing comes out and people start actually putting it through its paces and seeing where the concessions actually lies, because all these devices are concessions, basically. So that's at least my initial take on it. I'm excited to check it out. I just caution those who go, I am a console guy. I am in no way, shape, or form a PC player at all. But I was waiting for this to be my Xbox machine, and this is the thing for me. You might be doing a lot of troubleshooting. Be careful before you buy into that. That's my initial caution.
Fair enough. I see a lot of people thinking like that as well, like the Xbox handheld, but it's not.
Yeah. This is the fabled Xbox handheld, and I'm not a tinkerer, but this will do it for me. You kind of better be a tinkerer, I think. I'll know more once I have it in my hand, but the reason I bought it is because it scratched the tinkerer itch, and I'm definitely that. Right? So if you're not a tinkerer, chances are you probably won't like what they have there, but we shall see. Right? Hargeet, I think you're going to love it because between the Armory Crate, front-end UI things, and Armory Crate is, I'd say, 75%. They still need to clean it up a bit, and the command center and stuff. And you can, of course, add your own front end. You can still put Play Night. You can still do all. If you're a tinkerer, like I know you are, you'll be fine. But if you just want to be turnkey console, but on the go mobile, you want your Xbox Game Pass on the go, it might be still more than that for you. You might still need to learn more and do a bit more tinkering than you might assume based on what we see so far.
So battery life is shit, apparently.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is shit by virtue of it's giving you more wattage output than the Steam Deck, which means it can burn hotter than the Steam Deck, but giving you the exact same battery life as the Steam Deck, which means it goes faster than the Steam Deck.
Okay, because ACG says to put in because seriously, the ROG Ally battery on medium settings makes Anthem's battles look super long in comparison. To put into perspective, it makes my Game Gear battery seem eternal. Yeah, and we know how that was. The
innovation that needs to happen in this space is battery, not power, not processor, not GPUs, because they have been climbing great. What needs to really shine to make this space go woohoo? Battery. Because otherwise you have to make it bigger and thicker, and nobody wants to do that, right? They want it to stay small. Pause. They want it to stay thin and light while still producing long.
What are we talking about now? No, I was not talking about that kind of thickness and thinness. You make it sound.
Wow. Battery tech is the one that we need more than anything else. You see me reining it in while you're completely devolving. Yes. So I'm excited, but I caution people to watch the backs about thinking that this is the Xbox companion they've been waiting for. I'm not sure. We shall see.
Yeah. Well, there's interesting developments in the space. Asa, do you have anything to add on the Asus? Are you going to buy it? You don't care about it.
This device will sell less than the PlayStation VR 2. And that is okay, because the PlayStation VR 2 needs to build an ecosystem and this thing doesn't. What this thing is good for is playing games that you can already play and just playing them a bit worse. So I don't really care for it myself. It's not going to sell massively big numbers, but it doesn't need to, because unlike the PlayStation VR 2, it is part of an established ecosystem. You don't need this thing to succeed in order for any developers to put games onto Windows. So that's all right. And it will have competitors, and you can buy other handheld devices. It's going to be a thing over time. And it's not a thing that I'm personally going to play very much, and VR is much more exciting.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not interested in it remotely. Well,
just an FYI, there is and I found this out on Asante's podcast today. There's a $70 discount if you are buying it in the US at Best Buy, and you have to use a Best Buy card. And I put that code in the chat. You have to put in a discount code.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, if you want to get it for to $70 off, that's 10% off. You can do that.
I will say, much like the PSVR 2, which I was excited for but ultimately did not buy, my pro tip for those who want to see how much of a zeitgeist move this is, go every once in a while and check Best Buy to see if the pre-orders are up or not. They are still available to this very day.
Yeah, and I don't know what the
PSVR 2 was going to be a problem. When the day before it was released, it could still be purchased for day one shipment. Yeah. That's what made me go, So far, Best Buy is still taking pre-orders today. So we shall see.
Yeah. And so one of the things, guys, I had with it is it's the interface. It's so, because I built up a specific dedicated desktop PC for the TV, the user interface of Windows is a hindrance, right? It's not like I know Windows pretty damn well, but the problem is if you want to sit on a couch and play, it's just not conducive to it. That's why consoles are so good.
Zorka always says it is.
And you're good to go, right? Now, it doesn't mean I can't get around it. Obviously, I know enough to get around it, but it's just that convenience factor. I just want to be able to
looking for that Windows 8 user interface for gaming.
Potentially, right? And yes, and to me, the disappointment is more they have it. It's all on the Xbox side. You have it, and they took the Windows GUI, and that's what they're using on Xbox. And it's like, well, just take that and bring it over here. Like, how difficult could that be? You took it from Windows. Could you not just bring some of that back and say, all right, we have a Xbox mode on PC, and you can switch back and forth if you want. You want to go back to desktop normal mode, fine, but you could switch to Xbox mode, and now everything works with controller the way you expect it to, right? And it just doesn't seem like it would be that, but it is like apparently a big deal. They don't have the future vision to do that kind of thing, but oh well, whatever, right? So. I don't know what this is going to look like. Like you're saying, they have their own front end that they're putting on top of it. But ultimately, underneath, it's still a Windows 11 desktop. And that is going to be the thing. And so we'll see how well that works.
That's going to be problematic. It's not even a variant of Windows 11. It's full fat with bloatware and weird installations Windows 11, which first thing I'm doing is uninstalling it and putting Tiny 11 on it and then putting the software back, because that will help, So
so this is the kind of thing, right? So and for people that are going to, now thankfully it's a touch screen, so you can work through it with the touch screen, right? But on a TV, that becomes a headache, right? So ultimately, that's going to be the thing that's going to be interesting to see, like how well it becomes a cohesive console-like experience, because that is what they're marketing here, a console, right? And that's where the Steam Deck is a little bit ahead, because
I doubt that it will win in that console-like experience conversation, especially on the Windows side.
And that's really a question of Microsoft working with these partners to make that happen, right? And I don't know if they will or won't, but it is a market that could emerge if Microsoft were willing to work with them, right? And that's really what needs to happen. But yeah, that's where the Steam Deck, they created a custom UI on top of Linux, right? So it makes it cleaner, right? So you're not really mucking with the OS, you're doing stuff within that UI, and then that pulls, brings up the games and everything works. In this case, you do have the problem of it's multiple launchers, so that's a little bit of a challenge, and they all have to integrate well, right? And then, if there's anything that comes up that's Windowsy, you now kind of get back to the normal UI of Windows, right? A driver update needs to happen. Okay, click here, whatever, right? And so all these little things that they need to kind of make just happen in the background, right?
But you know what though, Hargeet? I honestly think that's a bit, and that's a bit of smoke for Microsoft and for Asus themselves, because my problem has always been, like, Windows is dynamic and capable enough to fit on multiple devices, but it's always installed and shipped by default. No one turns off settings. No one turns off services in the background. They just ship it default and then plop it down and say, here you go, Windows. That's the problem. You can literally, because I've been talking about Tiny 11, and people hear about Tiny 11. Tiny 11 is literally just Windows 11, but turned all the ridiculousness off. You want to add a game bar. It's not by default. You have to go install the game bar. You want to go. You want to have Spotify on there. Go install Spotify. None of it comes by default. It just comes. It runs literally, I think, less than 2 gigs, which is unheard of for a Windows installation. It runs less than 2 gigs on a whole machine. So if Microsoft works with them to really limit their operating system and not ship it default fat what's on a laptop, it could run great. I doubt that's happening. I've seen reviews where people just pop up the task menu, and it's exactly what you expect to see on a laptop with all the bloatware and stuff. That might be more of an issue that people don't necessarily see coming just yet.
Yeah, and you don't want the bloatware because it just takes up CPU cycles, right? It takes up power. It's just there's no point to it, right? And so all that stuff needs to go, and and the Xbox game bar needs to be totally revamped to work well in this model.
The game bar should turn into the front end interface for any hardware device you put into it.
I know.
You hit the game bar button, it
right
should be
there.
the whole thing.
Yep. They have it. They own it. It's on the Xbox. You just bring it up. But anyway, I'm complaining enough. But that's where I'm at as far as I pre-ordered it. I'm excited to have it, but I know it's going to have those quirks, right? Because it's not a bespoke console with a very specific UI. It's going to be Windows.
But the good thing, though, let's not leave it sour. The plus of all of this is the more people are excited about it, the more people are talking about it, the more people buy it, the more the chances are that Microsoft will go, Microsoft
might do something. Yeah.
Well, not even do something or make something. All I want for them to do is create a front end that any hardware can just work with, and I'd be happy. Right? You bring your GPD Win, whatever. I bring my Steam Deck. You bring your ROG, whatever, Ally, whatever. You pop up the Xbox interface, if you will, and then everyone's happy.
This could be in Chinese. So, I'm reading the chat.
No. Oh, you guys can give. I'm sure someone's benefiting from. I don't give a shit about the Asus ROG, so I'm sure for the people who care, because a lot of people are talking about it. I'm like, fine.
Because the Asus ROG Ally could lead the way to a front end where any Windows machine you get has a front end that makes it console-like. Because Microsoft sees there are more in the space. Hey, Steam is making one, Asus is making one, maybe HP makes one. So we'll make a front end that when you hit the button, it's there, and then everyone can be console-like experience. That's the hope of all of this.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's see that mobile vision comes through, so we don't need cloud gaming anymore. Yeah, Hoggy was right. And thank you, Daddy, for the $2 super chat. He goes, I don't care. I'm still changing my Steam Deck. Changing it for what? For the Asus.
Maybe he's changing for the ROG Ally. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. A lot of people are, hyped for it, but we'll see.
I see it as the Android device to your iOS. More power usury. So if you want to tinker more, that might be some more your speed.
Okay. I'm a tinkerer, so that's fine. Not like Acer, but yeah, I am. That's why I like the Android. Let's see how it goes. And and if Acer says like this is not going to sell as much as the PSVR 2, then it might be a muted change.
That wasn't really a fair comparison. Like PSVR 2 is a very different kettle of fish.
I know,
really.
It's a different beast. It is what it is.
But yeah. The final topic, sorry, just because I know it's been a long day, but I need to touch upon this. Is Game Pass bad? Because the guy who made
right.
Somerville. Yeah. Apparently the Game Pass is shit.
Limbo.
Why is Game Pass shit?
He didn't say it was shit. He just didn't like the model, right?
He didn't like the model this game appeared on and marketed primarily on. Is that bad?
And the way he said it, and Asante, you had to kind of point it out the right way, which is like, look, he was talking in a flow of like, but I kind of prefer the old model because I sell you by giving you a video of what my game is, right? A trailer.
Yeah. Let me read that. Let me read that paragraph because I think that really crystallizes everything you're talking about here. So the reason I thought this was interesting is because it is framed under, hey, another example that Game Pass bad, right? Long article, but they basically made that long article based off of a paragraph that this gentleman related to them. And all
what did he say?
All he said was, and this is a quote, I also think it hurts sales because a lot of people just go and try it and they don't invest. Sounds like a smoking gun, right? But then he goes on to say, if they don't like it in the first 10 minutes, that's it. Also, if you don't make them enjoy it in the first 10 minutes, if it's not amazing in the first 10 minutes, maybe that's also a problem. I think Game Pass is okay. It's not my favorite. My favorite, now here's the kicker to all of this. My favorite is the old premium model where I sell you on some video a big image and then I earn your $30. After that, then I have to deliver. And I don't need to come after you for your money later. So AKA, now I have to make sure my game is entertaining from jump. So now I have to make sure I deliver on the vision that I sell you rather than sell you on the vision, get your money later, and then you get stuck with it. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, okay, I take that angle on board.
There may be a genuine conversation to be had about its profitability, and we keep having that. But this was not the needle they needed to thread on that. This is just like graybeard like myself bemoaning, in my day, people just used to buy their games and worry about whether it was good later. Like, that's what he's saying right now.
Deadly Headley goes, you know what's worse than, what sucks more than Game Pass? Paying $70 for Redfall.
Exactly, right?
Yeah,
in his day, they get you with the whiz-bang features of how Redfall looks, and then you have to buy it, already make that purchase, and then realize you got screwed, and that's just the way it is. That's what he's talking about. He enjoys the day of. So that that tells me the argument about whether Game Pass is good or not has nothing to do with the fact that you just exposed yourself, sir. I'm sorry.
Oh shit! I'll play devil's advocate there.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, do you want to add? Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say Somerville also kind of deviates from the previous games, which were stellar, right? So, and somehow Somerville didn't resonate as much. And, it is what it is, right? So that game, I think, was it like in the 70s or something? It rated much lower than their other two games.
71.
Right, people were expecting so much from it, and it kind of...
everybody was like, this is from those developers. It's going to be great, right? And sometimes that is a problem, right? Is that the expectations game becomes a problem, right? And that is Redfall. If I'm expecting arcane game, and what they gave me was totally not an arcane game. If this was a no-name studio, I'd be like, all right, fine, it's all right, right? But I'm expecting arcane, and here you're expecting the same thing. These are stellar games that they had, right? Game of the year nominee type games, and they're like, okay, suddenly it's what is this? And so Somerville just didn't resonate, and of course that's gonna, word of mouth. It's just gonna decrease your sales. It just is what it is, right? The opposite happens. Like, oh, I played this game. I know what the heck was going on. It was crazy. You got to play this thing, right? It just increases sales. It's just the way it is, right?
Look at Forza Horizon 5. 30 million players in the chat. I see Tide Kicker trying to kick it down. But when it joined Game Pass, not only had high numbers, it had critically acclaimed one of the best races in 2 generations. Shits on anything on PlayStation as far as races are concerned. What happened, bruh? Tide Kicker, I'm talking to you, you pony. Say something. What happened? That numbers, but what about the sales? Wait, hold on. Now you're picking up. Now the goalposts shift. Player engagement is important. What do you mean player engagement? Lol. Corey Rose, Shuei Yoshida himself, the PlayStation themselves have said MAUs are important. Do you not give a shit about that? Oh, but then it's just selective amnesia. Forza is pay to win. Says that's how you know these guys don't know what they're talking about.
The other part that interests me here is the 10-minute mark. I'm wondering if the pay scale for that deal was if they engage for more than 10 minutes, you get a remuneration for that, and that's why he's saying that 10 minutes, but because a lot of people might have tried it for a few minutes and like, this isn't for me, and moved on, right? So it's just something to think about.
Possible
I have no idea if that's
that it's around pay scale, but the issue with that, and it is a valid one, like there's always some cons to everything good as well, right? With the new model with Game Pass, and just the fact that games in general, it's not just Game Pass, free to play games as well, but the general accessibility of games and the fact that we have so many available and we can go and sample so many, it is now a lot more important than it used to be to grip a player from the off, like from those first 10 minutes. Just like if you're making a YouTube video and they say the first 5 seconds, first 30 seconds are absolutely critical, or everyone's just going to fall off. This is now a problem that game developers have to have, because back like 20 years ago, you'd buy the occasional game and you'd spend money on it, so you would get value out of it. You'd play it further. If the intro wasn't perfect, you were still going to play it more. So it's a headache, not one that I have a whole lot of sympathy for necessarily, but it's just a change in paradigm, right? That they do have to deal with. The other valid thing that he does say there that is perhaps more of a concern, not playing out yet, but might play out in future, is he does talk about the potential need to backload the monetization on games. And that is more of a, like...
That's the big one.
That's the big one, but it's not a thing that's true yet. That's the thing that it might over time. At the moment, it doesn't necessarily. At the moment, the model supports all kinds of like ways of delivering games.
At the moment,
that's the problem.
It's a growth phase. They're offering everything. I think that
what they're describing there, what you're describing there, is what is the reason why what he's describing might not necessarily be so accurate. The original premium model spawned all these other models because it wasn't good enough as budgets started ballooning, right?
That is
the microtransaction world we live in right now is because people got tired of the premium world we were living, where we're trying to get you to pay the 30 and then the 40 and then the 50 and now the $70, right? So clearly that model is no longer working in the world we live in today. So hoping for a time where you can go back to that model, that's great, but that means your budget has to be smaller.
Yeah.
Right. Which is another whole end of the conversation. It's an interesting thing. I won't say wholeheartedly that I agree or disagree with him as far as whether it's profitable or whatever.
It's an interesting point.
The companies say what they say, and we have to take them at their point. It's just what he said there in black and white. That sentence he said there that was going to be spun into the Game Pass good or bad conversation. That's why I thought it was kind of interesting, because to me it just sounds like an old gray beard going, well, back in the day I used to be able to fool y'all with some JPEGs in the video, and now I got to actually prove myself. This sucks. You know, that's what it sounds like.
Well, to play devil's advocate again, there are games that will maybe blossom a little bit later, and then this kind of Game Pass model feeds into the ADHD mentality of gamers. So what you'll get is a game that will have potentially, this is a problem where the game will blow its load early, and then there's not much there. So but then I'm reminded of the gentleman who made Days Gone. And he vehemently defends Days Gone on the basis that the game is transformative after 6 hours of playing, and it switches. What his name? So it's like it's look, it's no coincidence. Somerville is 71 meta when the inside was incredible. When I completed it, I was like, yo, how did I sleep on this? Limbo, great game. Somerville, we were hyping it up a lot. It was because the guys who made Inside and Limbo, and it failed.
Pedigree was big,
Pedigree was big, and it didn't do what it needed to. And I still remember ACG's review on it and where the pitfalls were with this game, and I was really bitterly disappointed. So yeah, like a lot of it is maybe perhaps projection. Maybe he's right. He's firsthand experiencing it. But his arguments don't seem to hold that much weight. But the microtransaction element is
to be fair. I think
thank you, Tom.
I think the article writer and the source kind of skewed the conversation more than what he himself
clickbait.
Yeah,
a
little bit.
The article makes it argumentative rather than just observations. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what it's kind of hilarious how they were trying to frame the story.
Yeah. So that's what journalists do. It's getting it's part and parcel of the scummy way they do. Who did that interview? Who wrote that article? Do you know?
GameSpot. Yeah, you know how it goes. Yes.
People. It's like
Joshua
IGN, GameSpot, all these people, man. Like these big guys. We still listen to that. Well, I don't, but like these people, man, like these public. You need to check out IGN's little short on how they review games, how to decide to review games, and their mentality, and how they score games. Why God, like, do we like? I don't know about you guys who didn't do reviews, but me and Asa, me and you, like, were pretty raw and on the ethics of reviews and the mentality of approaching reviews. I wish
and the puns that went to the headlines.
The puns, Forza players, that was wicked. They can't be, begrudging that. They piss people off. The reviews were brilliant. I still remember your Drive Club review. But yeah, it depends. At least there are a few people in this space that are good. ACG is one of them. But yeah, that's the chat. Generally, it's a weird space, very exciting in the gaming space. We're leading up to the big showcases. If it's true and PlayStation have their showcase before Microsoft at the end of May, I will be shocked, but pleasantly so. Xbox is looking and hopefully they fight back. Part of me likes that.
Think they're going to have a good showcase? Xbox, that is.
I am not confident in Microsoft having a good showcase. I'm not confident at all. I'm not confident at all. What do you think Phil Spencer said gave me confidence? He's like, I think we have a good show. In my opinion, I think, I'm like, bruv.
Yeah, I mean, I need those big mic drop moments. Like, I got this exclusive for you from this massive publisher that's going to change the game. I need that, saying, right? So
I'm pretty confident our show will satisfy.
I mean, we're hearing rumors of Dead Rising coming, right? I don't even know if that's exclusive or not. It used to be exclusive to Xbox, but again, is that going to move the needle? No. I think you need zeitgeist games, and they need to somehow, like that Hogwarts marketing that PlayStation did, PS5 exclusive.
Oh, that's so dodgy.
I mean,
that's
just
dodgy.
Really.
It worked.
I mean, how big a deal is that for the PlayStation brand? It had to be a market driver for them, right? It's just it's crazy how they did that, but that's what you need. You need marketing for that. If they could say the same with GTA 6, right? That hey, we got the marketing for this. It's going to have that association, right? It's just you have to do those kinds of. I don't think he's going to. I don't know. We'll see, but that's what I'm looking for. I don't think I'm going to see it.
I'm kind of there with you. Like I'm seeing the burnout. Like we've been there we've done it. Like you, I mean, like at this point you have to be stupid.
The last moment I remember is the the Keanu Reeves one. That was pretty cool.
That was wicked.
Right, and we're gonna have a live show right now, right? So like, there's no moments like that. They have to go back to that, right? And bring out something that says, "Oh, cool, Xbox has this awesome thing. I got to go there," right?
Yes, that's what and I don't get any confidence in that. I'd be surprised if you do. Anyway, sorry, gents. This has been this has to be the longest show. 9, 10, 11. This is the longest show. This is probably the longest show we've ever done. 3 hours and 36 minutes. Fuck. Well, gents, I'm sorry to have taken over your time, but time flew for me. I hope it did for you. You guys killed it. It was so good. Like, I thought Zelda was the Asus questioning. Brilliant. That's the format we need to. Asus, just think of questions and we'll fight over your plans. A shout out to everyone in chat. If you enjoyed it, please smash that like button. Smash it. If you enjoyed it, even if you're Pony, Xbox, PC, even Nintendo Otaku guy who hates everyone else, smash the like button if you enjoyed the show. If anything, we keep it honest, we keep it real. Yeah, hopefully you understand that or feel that. If you don't, let us know and we'll ignore you. No, you won't. Thank you so much, everyone in chat. We got to give the gents the outro times. Chaos Santi, you were on live today. Tell the people. I hope you had a good time. 2, sorry it's so long. And 3, tell the people where you can.
Oh no, thank you guys. Always great to be on the show. If not, listen and watch the show. It's great to be a part of the GameOnDaily community. I always appreciate checking out your videos and your content and the show itself, the live show. It's always great. Enjoy, you know me. I enjoy the debates. I enjoy having the back and forth. I love the tech talk, the speeds and feeds, and all of that. So always great to have awesome conversations with you guys. Mr. Asa, we are about due for some VR games. Now that my beast is in full effect, I will be reaching out to you, sir. We need to do that. I'm still kind of deciding on what the next gen optics will be.
So
that's neither here nor there. But K Asante, TKO Asante on Twitter, Xbox, PlayStation, all the places you want to find me. Co-host of the Gaming Circle podcast, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in these here United States. And please do the conversion for yourself because I don't have the brain for it right now. But join us. We have Slander in the morning. We're a little more PG-13, something you can listen to in the car with the kids. We let one slip, but we try to keep it in check. And so far, we've had a good amount of debate, good conversation, awesome guests that came on. Last week, Paris Lily jumped on our show and defended
it was great.
Phil Spencer and the back and forth. Interesting nuggets in that interview, in that conversation we had. Paris jumped on and gave us some really good stuff. So come check us out. Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
No, shout out. I didn't know Paris Lily jumped on your show.
He just dropped in last week in the middle of the show. He was like, "Oh yeah, let's go," and he answered some really good questions because like stuff like there was the conversation around whether Phil Spencer had initially booked that interview just to go damage control. No, they had that interview booked for many months to the point that
did they?
Yeah, the kind of funny crew was convinced that they would cancel because of all the bad news, and then he still showed up. It's some good stuff. That
was good too. That's fortunate for them because they got in fortunate timing with that.
Oh yeah, they got a nugget with that one, man. Woo!
Oh man, they did. They did. Oh, Paris Lily got free stuff as well. No, just kidding. Shut up, Paris Lily. I know you're watching it. You piece of. I'm gonna still fight you. Come to Gamescom. Don't be a wuss. Made me fly all the way to LA to fight me. Yeah. I'm ready. Shout out to Paris. He did a great job. Shout out to Kinda Funny. They did deliver so much content. And that insight was so important. Like the conversation has been steered as a result of the Kinda Funny.
Amazing
great questions.
Yes.
I rate him. As much as Paris Lily's like asking for free stuff is weird and annoys me. Like it's just a tiny thing. The guy's a great guy. He did a great interview. They all did a great job at Kinda Funny. And you have to rate them for that. And they asked the right questions. People, they're just going to sell out. No, they didn't. He's his friend. And he still asked those raw questions. So rate it to them. I now have them on my radar. Well, I did it individually, but Kinda Funny was a bit, the big boys, like, do they actually answer the right questions as well? Very touchy-feely. But no, they did a good job. Now I'm going to be watching, maybe perhaps learn and see that I'd be missing out. Last but certainly not least, it's Hoggy Channy, the man who brings the sauce. And oh my God, he did sauce. Now I know what that shirt means. It's directed at Cloud Gaming.
Oh yeah, that's
snitching. Stop snitching.
Yeah,
that's
this
the
is
Sony.
Iron Lord. Iron Lords. Actually, it is against Sony, right?
My God.
This is what King came up with. Stop snitching.
King.
Yeah, he's awesome. Now
he's holding the line.
That's going to be.
He's holding the line. I don't agree with you, King, but I love the energy. He has faith, blind faith, but he has it in Xbox. Shout out to King. He's holding the line bravely. I know you are working on Source, but you can't really talk about it.
Sauce?
I don't know, but you know what I mean. Your content, there's some stuff happening in the background.
Yeah, well, we'll put that aside. But anyway, so yeah, you can catch me on many different podcasts now. So on RDX with Dealer, and on Boom's podcast, Primetime Gaming on Wednesdays, and hopefully more stuff with Game On, GameOnDaily. We'll try to get some more stuff going. We just have to kind of figure things out. Yeah, to get things going. Right? But yeah, but yeah. So yeah, great episode. Thanks for coming on, Asante. It was a pleasure to have you here as usual. Yeah, it was great tech talk. I love it.
You too. Forth, right? Loved it.
Yeah, it was great.
Also, the Asus ROG came out. I didn't give a shit about that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. So and we'll see what comes up next with our sauce videos. I'm sure there'll be some fun things going on. I've got my trip ready for the showcases, the Keeley showcase and the Xbox showcase. We'll see how that goes.
You got access.
Well, I got the Keeley one. I'm still working on how to get into the Fan Fest.
You'll easily get it. You'll get it. So
I didn't get the lottery, right? So we'll have to figure out how to get me there, but whatever. But yeah,
I know you're watching. Give it to Hoggy.
But yeah, so otherwise, so I'll hopefully be in both of those, and we'll watch and see. I'll try to ask questions again and see where things are.
Good.
Yeah, that's kind of how things are, right? So
yeah,
Xbox is dying. Oh wait, I'm sorry.
On that note, the demise of Xbox. Asa, this is your fault. Outro time.
If Xbox dies, it is not my fault. Yeah, no, thanks. I'm dead. Like I was gone at the start of the show, and it's been a very long one. But thank you, Hargy, thank you, KSNC, and thank you, Gaz, for answering my trap questions and dodging my grenades as best you could. It was good fun. I'll be back on my channel doing the usual kind of stuff, some cyberpunk, some VR, and some the Thursday show where we talk and have a little conversation. These things will keep going on. Gaz, you've got some stuff going on your own channel as well. Tell the people about it.
Yeah, I've been streaming games on my channel, so did Zelda and Sekiro. And what? Badly? Fuck. Okay, Zelda badly. Sekiro not so badly. Sekiro, that's a game that requires skill. I love that game. I love Sekiro. Such a good game.
So you're able to stream Sekiro well, a game that requires skill, but you have a problem with Zelda?
Because that needs your brains for puzzles. I'm not good at that. But in terms of parrying, my muscle memory is obviously better than my little brain memory. I just suck at puzzles. But I love that game. But yeah, Sekiro is a great game. Got videos coming out on Zelda. Actually, I don't think it'll be fitting for this channel. But just on my channel, directed at the Fonzarellis and the Zorkas and the Colt Eastwoods, you pieces of shit. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Hit that like button. It was so much fun. I'm going to go use the toilet. Take care. And as always, peace out.